for my
That'll
the
be pretty
vote
close as
for
well.
when
I
you
did a
were in
little
the
after
council.
you. For Tech Tuesday, we will be looking at Alcor V3 liquidity. What the hell else did I say we're looking at?
Yeah, coaster.
Atomichub, Whitelist update, and
Oh,
Funko Flintstone.
I can just
Boom.
reach it.
Boom roasted. All right.
Boom. What up? What up? What up?
I believe I've posted everywhere that we're live.
Let's go.
My stomach's been absolutely wrecked. I started doubling my dose of the fucking antibiotics I'm taking, and apparently that doesn't feel good.
Oh yeah.
Taking my medical advice from some guy on Reddit who's like, I just tripled the dose and it took my shit out in a week. And I was like, I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna double it, and then next week I'm gonna triple it and see what happens.
Yeah. Just be careful not to breed like antibiotic resistance in your shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
there's different types of
that is the
antibiotics. So
risk.
if I become resistant
that's
to
true.
oregano oil, I'll just fucking start the next antibiotic.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to
But I
see the
think the whole
doctor
point of
yesterday
taking a
about my
bunch is so
back.
that you kill them and they don't become like they're more likely to become immune if you aren't upping the dose. So that is an issue with like 2 weeks into my treatment. Sometimes it stops working, is what people said, which is why I'm starting to up my thing. Even though I don't know, it's hard for me to tell if it's working. It's supposed to take a full month, so you can't really see the results. And my stomach hurts every day from taking them, so it's like I don't know. It is what it
Yeah, that
is.
sucks. I got some new drugs from the doctor yesterday actually too. Let's see. I took it already.
Oh, I've been watching the. I wonder if it's on right now.
So
The
we got
Counter Strike
no.
Major. It's like the Counter Strike Paris Major, I believe it's called.
Oh yeah,
It's
championship
on Blast.tv.
or
It's also fucking crazy. This is like, it streams live in 4K. Oh, it's not
damn.
on. It's on in 9 hours. It's honestly like this. The time makes no sense if you live in America. Like this starts at 1 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, which for me is perfect because I'm up until like 6 or 7 in the morning. So I actually saw like all of the matches this morning. But it's a pretty cool tournament style. It's a Swiss bracket, which I don't know. Do you know what a Swiss bracket is?
No, I don't.
Essentially, it goes everybody goes round one. If you win, you go into a second bracket. These are the winners that won 0 and 1,
Oh, I see.
and these are the losers. So then anybody who won 1-0 fights another winner, and then they go up to this bracket. So this bracket is only people who have won twice. So anybody who wins this bracket gets put into the Legend tournament. So these people, like last night, these are the people that won 3-0, and these are basically the best teams.
Oh,
Anybody
that's
who
kind of
lost is now being mixed back in with the people who won one, lost one, and then won a second one, so they're 2-1. So basically, you have to win 3 games to qualify, and every game you lose, you get pegged down a tournament, and if you lose 3 games, you get eliminated. So there's teams last night that have lost 3 games, and they're now 0-3. It's kind of cool. So like, if you're in the middle, you actually end up playing more games, and you get pushed to like the 2-2
interesting.
tournament.
I was not familiar with this type of format. Well, let me
They
move
also
over
had a
this.
thing where Valve Pick'ems, like part of it is you can bet, like you can bet your in-game currencies on which teams will go 3-0 and 0-3 and pick 7 remaining teams that'll advance. Like if you get it
That's
right,
dope.
you get these like collectible coins that you can sell for like Valve money.
That's dope, dude. What? This is for Counter Strike, right?
Yeah,
The
this is for
Counter
Counter
Strike
Strike Go.
Masters,
It's the
CS:GO
majors
Masters
in
tournament's going
Paris
on.
this
A
year.
major.
But I was telling Max, FaZe Clan is associated with the Mythical Foundation, and FaZe is in here, and they won. They went 2-0, but then they lost the Legend match. FaZe is one of the better teams, though. I assume they will end up qualifying next round. It's FaZe versus Fours. Pretty close names. This team is super good. ENCE, like they did really
Oh, yeah.
well. The best team last night was
Yeah,
G2. Apex won 2-0, and I think they lost like they went like 3-16 against G2. Like G2 fucking crushed them. It's the best of 30, so you have to win 16 rounds to win. And so if you're going like 16 rounds to 3 rounds, you're just like bodying the other team.
Yeah, damn. That's wild. So if they win 3-0, they don't have to play again, but like the ones that lost have to do another game to stay like
Yes, but I
relevant.
believe this is not the full tournament. This is the Challengers Hub.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you look at like the overview here, the Challengers Hub is May 8th through 11th, and then May 13th through 16th is the Legends stage. And I believe the Legends all play each other, and then the top 2 Legends become the champions, and then there's the Champion stage. So the final is not going to be until 8 days, 14 hours, 28 minutes. The other sick
Damn.
thing about this is, I wonder if I can, like, is there any way I can watch an older match? Like, I wonder if these are recorded.
I have no idea.
Okay, rewatch. Here we go. Here, I'll show
What
you.
up,
Let's watch one of the ones I did last time.
Wapaka? What up, Mars Link? Oh, nice.
Yeah, like let's watch Ends first phase. Well, I found this on Twitch. This is 4K and free and no ads. So they pause for ads on Twitch, and there are no ads on this. So this is just better than Twitch. But
That's
the cool thing about this is also, check this out. It tells you down here, like, we're loading. Like you can see the fucking player avatar on the map, which is super sick. Like normally that is just a player that doesn't show your face. Down here,
yeah.
can you see this?
Where down bottom right? I'd have to hide myself. I think you're covering it.
Shit.
Like your camera's covering it.
You can see it bottom left too, though. See, like this guy?
Yeah, bottom left.
It says his name. Why is this so fucking weird right now? Like it's bars in the way. But yeah, it says his name, and then it says how much health he has. As it says how many kills he has. It says how many deaths he has. It says how much money he has, how much weapon he has. Minus 54's health just went down, like it ticks up. And then like it'll tell you their kill streaks too. If they go on a kill streak, it says best kill streak. But like I don't know, these stats are super cool, and they update live. Like as the health is getting hit out of them, the health ticks down on the bottom. And like I don't know, I've just never seen like I guess I don't watch competitive esports, but this shit is like the amount of data they give you is super sick.
Yeah, I love seeing the coach in the background like yes, did the fist bump, hand pump thing like hold on, yes, like that.
I've been watching this more because I've been playing a lot more Counter-Strike, so now I kind of understand the strategy. And it's just like Overwatch, where like before I played Overwatch, I didn't really care about watching the Overwatch pros. But then when you actually understand the strategy of the game and you can see how much better these people are than you, then it becomes like some of the plays they do, like the organization where like they do these organized smoke grenades. You're actually seeing it right now. You just saw them throw 2 bombs. They'll throw 5 smoke grenades in a row from the other side of the map, and it creates like a massive wall of smoke over like an entire choke. But like the amount of perfection you need to know to have 5 people throw smoke at the same time without even looking at where they're throwing. It's going like 100 meters on the other side of the map, and they all land in the perfect spot at the same time too. It's like a fucking air show. It's like a synchronized smoke show. It looks sick. Oh, that guy just got fucked.
Damn, yeah, he's done.
This has been
KY
fun.
says CS has the best spectator. Yeah, it seems like this is way beyond what you do for. I watched Overwatch.
It's so much
League.
better than Overwatch. As somebody who watched Overwatch,
This is way
like
better.
the stats they give you. Also, the reactions are great too because they have like these close-ups on every player, and they do replays. They show you the guy killing him, and then they show you the face of the guy who just got murked, and it's fucking awesome watching people's reaction after they get wrecked in Counter-Strike. Like, I don't know, it adds a lot.
Yeah, KY says the Valorant production sucks compared to that. Blows dicks is, I guess, the quote.
Yeah, that's on Blast.tv late night. It works better if you're in Europe because it's in France. It's weird for us Americans, but I'll be watching that tonight if anybody's trying to have a watch party. And there are a couple of plays where it's like, damn, I wish I was watching this. Someone like I wanted those. Like maybe we should just go live on Twitch and watch this. Like because it's fucking when the big plays happen, it's like it's intense. Like it's like a sporting event. Like when the big plays happen, and like there's a few rounds too where like when FaZe was playing the game we were just watching, like it was like 14-3 or 4, and then FaZe came back like 14-16. They still ended up losing, but like they were down by so much, and they came back almost 10 points without the other team scoring, and like it was a huge rally, and like the chat was going fucking wild. It was fun.
Damn,
I'm getting into it.
I'd check that out. I'm pretty all about it.
Do we want to start on where do we want to start today? We got a
I feel like as usual, I like to start with just a peek at the market before we get into like any of our DeFi
I guess
stuff.
just
Since today
real quick top of show. Today we're talking about Alcor V3, Atomichub Whitelist update, and the Flintstones drop, Funko drop. And I guess
Yeah.
real quick to show that off is it's a new badge system for Atomichub. They've been talking about changing the whitelist verified system for months now, and they just announced the new badge system. We'll go over that more in depth. And then, obviously,
Yeah.
Funko is Funko.
Funko's Flintstone drop happened today.
Yeah. Let's see.
We'll poke in on that. But first, let's take a look at the market here. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see how this looks. So right now I'm looking at the weekly on Ethereum. The weekly close this week, I think I want to look at the SPY too. So on the weekly chart, we were getting kind of a bearish close last week. Like you see this giant wick here.
Oh, thank you for the raid, NFT Gamer TV.
What's going on?
For the Raiders, we're Neon Space. We're a collectible brand on Wax. We're also streamers, obviously, because we're streaming right now. But
yeah, let me plug my.
We're looking at the overall crypto market right now, and then we're specifically going to go over Alcor V3 liquidity, and then to our other viewers, they're going to be annoyed we just talked about this. We're also looking at the Atomichub whitelist update. They changed their verification system, and there is a Flintstones Funko drop today. So just on the docket, we're just getting started. We just started streaming 10 minutes ago, so we'll probably be streaming for like another hour and a half from now.
Yeah. So let's start by looking at the markets here. I'm starting today by looking at the SPY, which is, as we already know from me saying this 1,000 times, which is the index that tracks the S&P 500, or a general sentiment index for the stock market. 1 second, let me double check this text I just got. But kind of what I was looking at here is the weekly close. So I'm looking at SPY. These are the weekly candles, and last week we kind of topped out and we're moving down. We had a kind of a bearish close, like this candle is a bearish close, and then this one was moving down all the way. Was like basically gearing up to close, much more bearish than it currently is. Before Friday, when an earnings call for Apple came in very positive, and Apple is a pretty massive portion of these indexes. Both the QQQ and the SPY can be affected just by Apple having a good day, and so the entire index, got a little less clear on being bearish, and is still kind of like, sending mixed signals now. And I think a lot of it has to do with the Apple earnings call being much more positive than expected. Like their gross was higher than anticipated. Their iPhone sales really were way up than what were projected. And so the stock price obviously was climbing. I think the company also announced a stock buyback, which is, only going to make the price climb more. So all of that, rising market cap is driving up the NASDAQ and the S&P indexes quite a bit, even though most of that activity is one company. So the kind of takeaway there is, like, I was a lot more bearish before the week closed. The week closed looks a lot more bullish now. This is the next week that we're in right now being drawn out here. But still kind of was feeling, I still am kind of feeling like equities are moving down. The market has, like my indicator here has gotten the green. We got the bull print. Usually on the weekly, that's a very bullish sign, because if you take a look at, historically speaking, this goes all the way to right now. The chart's going all the way to 2017 is the front here. But you can see there's not often where you're going to get a bull print and it immediately is faked out. Maybe this is a decent example of that, but even this one, I wouldn't count as a bull print because it wasn't followed by a red area. This would still be part of the initial bull print right here. So getting a bull print after having a nice red zone using this indicator that Sid and I kind of put together is very, very bullish. But what I'm kind of expecting to see, especially with the SPY, is for this to kind of retrace at least back down and retest the strength band around 400-ish before pushing higher again. Part of that is due to the fact that, the the SRSI down here, the Stoch RSI is overbought quite aggressively. And again, we're on the weekly. And so I'm thinking in the coming weeks, we're going to, at the very least, kind of retest down to this previous level, 400 or so for the SPY, which isn't that crazy. It's at 410 right now, so it's not that aggressive. But we're gonna do that, in my opinion, to cool off this RSI over the next few weeks before possibly finding support here and pushing further. So looking with that in mind for like the equity markets and the stock market, I'm gonna jump back over to Bitcoin, or Ethereum is kind of our delta of Bitcoin. Where we're also getting like, we got a pretty decent like bullish and then immediate retrace, and then we've just been kind of flat on the weeks here. It's not super clear. We aren't overbought or oversold, so it can kind of do either thing. But again, I think it's going to follow the equity markets and do a similar thing where we're most likely going to retrace from where we're at now, which I would say is about 1850, down to probably around 1550 or 1600 before finding support here and pushing higher. What we were looking for basically here, if we're going to zoom out a little longer term, so this is all the way back in June 2020, where we kind of pushed up here before being pushed back down, and we've effectively been ranging here this whole time, almost like 6 months or so, like quite a while. And we're looking to push out of this range, and we almost got that push out, that breakout here. You see if like this was the top of this last time where we were rejected. We did have that candle that broke through that, but immediately was pushed back down. So a bit of a bull hunt there. So people who did flip their sentiment bullish and started going long, immediately getting like pushed back below this kind of level where the resistance was, and now we're trading and closing the subsequent 2 weeks below that as well. What I want to see was for this area, saying we can see that on the Bitcoin chart too, for kind of here, you see where it like was falling off, and then before it continued that big dip down, this was also kind of where the resistance was, or the support was rather, as we came down. This is kind of where it slowed down over the, keeping in mind, of course, each of these candles is about a week, before it pushed down and has been ranging in this range. We're still in this range now, and we're still kind of unclear on what's happening, but we are getting kind of a nice bullish indicator on the weekly. My main takeaway here is that I believe some of the bullish sentiment in the last week's close especially has to do with a very positive earnings report for Apple, and is maybe skewing our perspective a little bit. But also, I don't know that, this kind of is starting to feel like a local top, based on the fact that we pushed back to the last time where this is basically effectively a pretty strong resistance level. Used to be a pretty decent support, you could see, and I'm pretty sure if we pull back, yeah, you see here also it was very clean. Like this green line, which is the current spot price, is very effectively the support level when we've pulled back. Like here we shot up, pulled back, and basically bouncing around that line too, making these highs. And then when we pulled back down again, this was a very strong support. We want to see this range. So, it's maybe not specifically just like a tiny line. It's maybe like a thickish range, like maybe this amount here. We'd want to see that range become support again, rather than act as resistance as it currently has been. So you can see here, this is where that support range failed. So, it had been bouncing for like this whole year, basically. It had been the support. Once we fell below that, now it's clearly become the resistance level, and it looks like we're being rejected at resistance, which would indicate that we're going to, at the very least, push back down, most likely to the strength band kind of line, but potentially fail to turn that into support. Because what I want to see now is for this to come back down, test here, and then push up, and then push beyond this little range here, which I'm going to add a little line for us to track, but I'd like to see that kind of like here. This is an ugly line. I don't want to have to draw it straight. I want it to draw it straight for me. So I'm going to tell it to do, here we go, horizontal line. And I want that line to be like here. There we go. And what's this other line? This green one? I don't know. I guess I drew two. Basically, what I want to see is this line needs to become support. I want to see a weak close above here, and then I want to see it, close cleanly above there. So especially when we look at here, like these kind of tails, I guess we could make this would basically be the bottom of that support range, and then where the candles kind of are like their base is, that would be effectively, I guess, the top of that range. Or you could even make it like this wide. It's a pretty wide range. But that range I want to be either inside of, and then definitely I want it to become support and bounce from here. That would indicate a long-term switch in the market trend. To me, that would be like, if that's happening, I'm gonna go kind of like back to aping into cryptos. And again, what we're seeing this week is not that. We're seeing this range becoming a resistance, kind of solidifying its strength as a resistance area, and it's rejecting our push up. So again, we're on the weekly chart, and you can see each one of these candles is a week. So from the last, let's say 3 months or so here, maybe even 4, we pushed from 15,000 16,000 Bitcoin per Bitcoin up to 30,000, and that push made it right to our resistance level here, which again historically has been support in the bull market, and then was basically the failure point here for this next leg down, if you will. We can see we slowed down for a couple weeks when we were approaching this resistance level. So maybe move it down a little bit so you can see here. But as we approached it this week, not quite as much of a sell-off. This week almost flat. The next week, a little bit of a bounce there with that tail, but also ending the week back flat. And then the following week here is where we lost that support. And then again, the sell-off intensifying, moving down these 2 weeks, quite aggressive. And then ever since then, kind of ranging below this area. And so again, I want to see this close. I want to see our weeks close above here before I would consider the bear market more reversing into a bull market. I wouldn't even say over, because it would still be possible for us to push all the way to our previous high around here before falling, not making a new high, and then falling all the way back to lower lows, which has happened in the past as well, where you can see, like here we have kind of the top of this range. This would be like a flip. We didn't really get such an aggressive, we basically got an aggressive pump followed by an aggressive dump again week, which we saw here, with the not quite as aggressive as it used to be, but obviously these markets are more mature. There's a lot more money, so it's not all going to be a lot less like crazy. But you can see even when you do break out, this wasn't the top, this wasn't the end of the bull market, or the bear market. We did pull back down after this and revisit all the way back to these levels as before, right here with these candles. You can see the little wicks of those. That means that there was days within these weeks where we were trading back down in these levels. So again, I'm not convinced that we're out of the bull market, or the bear market, sorry. Personally, I think we're still deserve to be in the bear market based on the macroeconomics picture. And I do think that we are looking at a basically a very important resistance level this week, and the next coming weeks will almost certainly, I think, confirm that we've been rejected here and push us back down. So I'm looking basically in the coming weeks for Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of the crypto market to retest these previous levels. Here's Ethereum. And so for Ethereum, for example, I would say I'm looking for a retest around 1600, and I'd like to see 1600 then hold, 1600 to 1550. It's not like an exact 1600. If we're below that, I'm not like immediately flipping my sentiment, but I would like to see, if we get a nice increasing speed sell-off, I'd like to see that speed decrease by the time we get to 1550, 1600, and then, find its support there and start to push up again. And then we'll feel like, okay, we're retesting this upper limit, and maybe we'll push out, or we won't find support, and we'll actually start pushing back down and remain in this crazy range that we've been in for the last year or so now. The halving event is coming up in about a year now, so it's about April next year that the Bitcoin block reward will be reduced 50%. Just a really quick side note on what that is. If you're unfamiliar, the way that Bitcoin is distributed, like there's 21 million total Bitcoins. Every time a new block is found, which happens every 10 minutes, mathematically speaking, new Bitcoin is issued, minted into, created out of nothing by the Bitcoin blockchain protocol, and they're given to, the people who mine that block. That amount of Bitcoin is reduced 50% every 3 years, and those events are called the halving events. Within the Bitcoin distribution kind of schedule. And then those halving events historically, if people are talking about like the Bitcoin price boom and bust cycles, the halving event tends to precede a boom cycle. So it's usually the halving events in the past have been the catalyst to the bull market. And so if I were to, like, for example, move out, like the last one happened 3 years ago almost, or I guess 2 years ago now, so it'd be 23, 22, 21. It happened around here, and you can see after that happened, huge run up. 3 years before that will have been the previous one, so we're at 2001, 2019, 18. This one was a little bit later, but I think it kind of like people anticipating it and pushing it up higher there. But it was, if you look at the generally speaking at the Bitcoin price, it tends to rally when inflation decreases, and that's what the minting of new Bitcoins is. It's inflation on the ecosystems, because every time 10 minutes, every time a block is found, new Bitcoin enters the market. Someone needs to be buying that Bitcoin or the price will drop. So the amount of that Bitcoin entering the market is about to be reduced in about a year's time. The reduction of that is going to push the Bitcoin network's inflation rate, I think, below 2%. It'll be like 1.6% or something ridiculously low for currency standards, at least. So we are still a year out from that event. So we have plenty of room here to, retest, push down, maybe make a little bit of a higher high, push all the way back down to here, and then react to the halving event. So still not convinced this market is turning around. And I do think in the coming weeks, we are more likely to retest the lower supports than we are to break above the current resistance level. And I think the reason for that is, in part the market conditions at large, and the reason for the the unclarity in these signals has to do with, in my opinion, with the earnings reports from major tech companies that make up huge portions of these indexes, kind of skewing the picture for the rest of it. Another big event to keep your eyes on for the coming week, which is tomorrow actually, is the new CPI reports will be published. And I've talked about those in the past too, but CPI reports are consumer price index. Those are the metrics that will show how much inflation is affecting everyday costs of goods and services, such as fuel, milk, eggs, groceries, electricity, like power. All that stuff is broken down into like categories, and then it's detailed how those costs were this quarter versus this quarter last year and the previous years. And then that information is generally used by the Federal Reserve to decide how intensely to adjust to adjust interest rates on a federal level to combat that inflation. And those decisions are made during the FOMC meeting, of which we just had one last week. So this is basically, last week we had the FOMC meeting on Tuesday. This week we're having new CPI numbers coming out. And I think the market is going to react a little bit to that tomorrow. So we might get a bit of volatility. I don't think inflation has cooled off enough for those numbers to come in a really positive light and spawn a rally. So my assumption here is that we're going to get some CPI report numbers tomorrow that show that inflation is still pretty intense when it comes to the cost of consumer goods. Personally, I believe that because I've been to the grocery store and I know how much gas still costs and all that. It's not really getting cheaper. So I imagine that those reports will reflect that, and that the equity markets will respond to that with a sell-off. Maybe not like an insane sell-off, but I do think that because we've hit this resistance on, especially on the crypto markets, but also on the equity markets here, we're very much kind of like pushing up very clear, like old levels of resistance. It's almost the same deal here, where you have like that initial sell-off finding support here, that support becoming resistance here, and having us ranged in this huge range by now. And again, it's starting to look a little bullish, but I don't really trust this, and we are oversold, overbought, all over the place right now. So short term, I think we're going to drop a little bit further. Let me just look a little closer here at the not 1 hour, but the 1 day. So on the 1 day, we are starting to see actually that sell-off. We are, got our bear print, and we are flipping the colors here, failing, trying to push back above that and failing. I think we're going to push down. And again, I'm using Bitcoin and Ethereum to kind of generalize the sentiment for the rest of the market. I guess I can jump at peek at Wax really quick too. So here's Wax. On the daily, we had a really aggressive run up from a little bit below 5 cents all the way back to like 8, almost 9. And then a big wick here that I saw a bunch of people posting on Twitter about. Even that wick, though, didn't flip. Like the daily sentiment had flipped bearish by here, and we were, trying really hard to kind of like flip this to support, and have failed at this point, and we're pushing back down very much at the old level of support here. So it's possible that we bounce here, but if not, which you can see also here, this kind of range where we're at has historically been a range for support for wax. It's possible we bounce here and retest up here, but it's also possible, or more likely in my opinion, that we move down a little further to kind of the old ranges around 5.5 or so cents here again. I guess we're close to that already. So maybe 5 flat or something, maybe around here. But again, on wax here, you can see this is the daily chart right now. We are a little bit oversold. So we are running out of steam on this sell-off and looking to, like I said, we are very much on support line here, it looks like. I can add that line in for us as well. We'll come check on this again next week. But oh yeah, and the red lines were the ones I had drawn as our target for the bottom of the bear market. We drew that way back here. So we actually had hit that first line, and it did actually act as pretty strong support. You can see where it hit, bounced, we stayed above for a while, and then slowly started falling below it. It wanted to stay support, and then when we finally did lose, big old sell off into the like bottom of our range, which was like the second mark where we had 5 cents, and we did actually push all the way down below 5 cents. I think even below 4 cents at one point. But basically these red lines were our target for like, I'm interested in buying wax at these prices. And so we're still very much within this range, and we can still keep pushing up and down and like ranging here. But I think for the most part, wax will follow the general markets. The general markets are looking a little bit like they're going to move down. So I'm going to assume in the coming weeks, we might see wax lose a little bit more of its value relative to US dollars. So on that note, let's jump into our DeFi positions on wax and see what we want to do with what we currently have. So I'm going to start by jumping over to Taco Swap and signing into our DeFi wallet. Taco Swap we're relatively familiar with because it's nothing new here just now, but this is a DEX. You can swap tokens. It is a V2 style exchange. V2 being the format of the liquidity pool, where you will supply, 2 tokens in equal parts to each other, and those liquidity that you supply to the pool is made available to traders between the range of 0 and infinity. So that's how all the pools on Taco Swap work. So when I check on my pools here, so these are the pools that we have in our DeFi wallet, you can see like this one, for example, has 25 wax paired against 9.7 honey. I don't need to check what 9.7961 honey is worth. I know it's worth 25.844 wax because both of these parts are equal. Same goes for the Wombat pool. So so what we've done is supplied liquidity, and we've supplied liquidity to pools that are being incentivized. And here's those incentives. We can see that our honey pool is about to stop being incentivized in 2 days. I reached out in the Discord for honey and asked if there was plans to continue the incentives. I didn't get a response. So I'm going to assume no, because I don't know otherwise. And because we only do moves with this wallet once every week, I don't want to sit in this pool for 5 out of those 7 days and not earn anything for these rewards. So I'm probably going to unwind this position today. And we're going to move it into Alcor. And I'll show you why, because basically if the rewards, or I guess I'll just explain why. If the rewards for this pool stop, which is currently producing 96% APR for people, it's very likely that the suppliers of this liquidity will pull their liquidity because they're only here for the rewards, and then potentially sell the honey side of their liquidity back into wax, looking for new opportunities to earn wax with their positions. You can see our wallet is the 40th largest supplier of liquidity, but there are some pretty substantial wallets in here, like this one having $25,000 worth of honey. This one's 6, so this one's by far the biggest. But if these rewards stop, I don't want to be the exit liquidity for people exiting honey. And so that's why I will unwind this position, but I'll recreate. I won't sell the honey. I like honey, and I think honey is worth it around these prices. Which, let me just check what the current spot price of honey is. I think honey is definitely worth at least 2 wax because of its utility being tied to 2 wax. But it's also, I think, with these rewards and with the yield that you earn just for staking your honey, I'd say maybe 2.2 wax. I'm definitely still interested in honey. After 2.2 wax, I absolutely wouldn't sell my honey.
Boulder's
We'll just wait
asking.
for the price to come back.
First, he said 25k USD of honey. I feel like probably wasn't what you were talking about, right?
No, 25k wax worth of honey is what the top liquidity provider had.
And then he was also asking, you can stake honey on NFT Hive. And yeah, there's
Yes,
two
sir.
options for honey. You can do the LP pool, or you can stake it directly on NFT Hive. I'll let Max take over on that, though.
Yeah, I can show that off too, honey. So the thing is, when the NFT Hive is what I'm looking for. When the staking for the liquidity pool ends and stops paying rewards, like the move may be, rather than selling the honey, you can come into your wallet on NFT Hive, click on wallet up here, and then you can see here the honey in your wallet. You can then, I actually could claim some now from using NFT Hive, but you could stake this honey, and in return for staking it, you get a cut of all of the market transaction fees, as well as a cut of every drop that happens on NFT Hive. That includes drops that are denominated in non-wax tokens. So if a project does a drop in Taco, for example, you would earn your share of the Taco being distributed to the stake pool of everybody who staked their honey. So you can come here. You can, if you're unaware, if you use the marketplace, not only are you, your transaction fees paying the people who are staking honey, but you're earning honey at a rate of 1 honey per 100 wax that you've spent on the marketplace. So if you do your normal NFT shopping on NFT Hive, it will it will give you those kickbacks in your wallet, and you can access those by just clicking on your wallet in the top right here, and then go to wallet, and you'll see like I have claimable honey in my max collected wallet. I also think we have maybe a stake of honey. Let's check. I'm not sure if I ever pulled our honey, because we had 1 honey token staked in our DeFi wallet, and we were just wanting to let that kind of ride and take a look at what it was doing. So let's see. I'm going to log into my wallet. I'm not sure if we had pulled that. Oh, we have not. So here you can actually see what that looks like. So you can come here, you can stake your honey, and once it's staked, you start earning your cut of all of the drops and everything. And so I had actually claimed some of these tokens not too long ago, and you can see I've already earned 0.17 wax, and then all of these other tokens. So there is a yield built into honey that doesn't require a wax counterpart. You could just stake your honey straight without any of that headache. The other thing you can do with your honey is if you click here on honey info, you can actually see there is a way to rent. Where is that? Here, rent CPU. So you can actually use honey tokens. You can also use wax, by the way. So right now it's set to wax, but if I say pay in honey, it's grayed out because I actually don't have any liquid honey in this wallet. But if you have liquid honey in your wallet, you can toggle this checkbox on, and then you can choose a wallet like first.ftw, which is my hot wallet. And I could say, let's say for the next 5 days, I'm going to pay 10 wax here, and it will give me 640 wax CPU stake added to the wallet. And I could just say rent now, and then it would take my wax and it would do this staking. If I was paying with honey, this 10 wax would be 5 honey. So it values honey at a rate of 2 wax, and that's why I was saying the floor of honey is pretty much 2 wax, because it has this built-in utility. And this is actually pretty dope. Like being able to buy yourself, hundreds of wax worth of CPU stake temporarily is great. And there's quite a bit of stake available right now. You got 4,000. So if you're like a small project and you're doing like your first pack sale, or you're creating packs, or you're doing an airdrop, or you're doing some type of on blockchain transaction that requires more CPU stake than you actually own as a small collection owner, this is an option to access real amounts of wax for and it's like let's assume you're doing a pack drop you could do that for, 1 day. You could do everything that you need as far as blockchain transactions. And then for 5 honey, you're getting 3,000 wax for that day added to your stake. So, it's really reasonable, kind of a cool utility to add. And if people are unaware of, that's another thing that honey has going for it. So all of that said, the first thing I'm going to do is come over to Taco Swap, click on my wallet up here, go to account and rewards, and I'm going to claim the rewards that I've earned from being in these liquidity pools for the past week. So I'm going to start by doing that. Now, we've claimed these rewards. Last week, we also took the rewards that we claimed, and I think we cleared out one liquidity pool. We ended up with about 25 wax, which we swapped into USDC and then added as a V3 liquidity pool on Alcor. I'm very curious to see how that played out. But before that, what I want to do now is take a look. Wombat token still producing a pretty substantial yield, over 100% APR. Still great, personally, I think, on Wax. Good team, good project, good prospects for the future. It makes sense to me why they have a demand for their token. And we got 46 days left on farming here. So what I might do this week, because we are going to unwind this honey pool, what I'm going to do with our rewards is I'm going to sell the honey rewards into wax and then pair that wax with wombat rewards that we've earned to just compound into this pool. So I'm going to start by doing that here. I'm going to sell the honey that we just earned, which honey, there it is. And I want wax for this. And so from the last week, we've earned almost 1 wax worth of rewards. And that comes from, let's take a look at how much wax worth of honey we have in this pool. I don't think it's that much. So there we go. Liquidity. We have about 50 wax worth of honey, worth of liquidity. So 25.8 times 2. And of that 50 wax, we almost are making 1 wax a week from just supplying it. That's pretty solid. But now that I've swapped that amount into wax, I'm going to come over here and use the wax. And then there you go. I have 83 wombat. I can get 24 of that to be the counterpart. I'm going to do that amount, and the rest I'll probably also sell into wax. Again, I'll move over to Alcor for the next phase where we think that the price of wax might fall in terms of dollars. But for now, I'm going to do this. That, and then the last part I want to do is swap the wombat token into wax. And let's see, wombat exists on multiple exchanges, so I'm going to use wax on edge to make sure that I'm getting the best price for my wombat. So just waxonedge.app, and I'm going to sign in with my wallet. This is, shout out to Wapaka. This is Wapaka's DeFi aggregator tool. So what we can do here is, right now I don't think it's actually looking at the Alcor pools. Ever since they were upgraded to V3, this is only working with Box and Taco Swap. But even in that being the case, let's just take a look and see what we get here as the best route for our Wombat tokens. So I'm going to click on Wombat as my counterpart. It is, so for 58 tokens, it'll show me the best deal is, in fact, Wombat into Wax on Taco Swap. And you can see, here's all the other routes that you could take with this trade. So if you had done it on DeFi Box, there's the DeFi Box one. And you can even tell it to use that path. But by default, it selected the best deal. So I'll just do that. I don't need to sign into whatever exchange it's going for. Just signing into Wax on Edge does that for me. So I did that swap now. I got 2.2 wax here, it looks like. And we've claimed all of our rewards from the liquidity mining. The next thing I want to do is unwind our liquidity here. So I'm going to say remove liquidity and just say max up here and remove. So what's happened here is we've pulled the liquidity for the wax, the honey token and the wax. Both parts are now back in our wallet. So here you go. You can see I now have 28 honey. And if I click on wallet, we'll see that the honey or 28 wax, and then you'll see the honey token has also been refunded. And there it is. So now I have both of these currencies in my wallet. I'm still farming for the next week. I'm still farming Wombat Wax tokens, but the next phase, I want to jump over to Alcor Swap, and let's take a look at, here's a bunch of liquidity pools that I have on my yield farming wallet. But let's take a look at our DeFi wallet, but on Alcor. And now we're going to dive into the new format for liquidity providing on Wax that has just been deployed by Alcor, which is the V3. So what we were just dealing with was V2, where again, we're supplying liquidity in equal parts from 0 to infinity when we participate in a pool. So V3 lets us actually define what we want to do. So here we go. This is actually a cool example. Last week, we thought the price of Wax was going to fall, and it has. So what we did was we sold our rewards, and I think we liquidated a liquidity pool and got 25-ish
We have a
Wax for
question
that.
real quick that you might actually be able to help with. Boulder Magic said I lost all of my Alcor LP tokens. Do you know where they went? And I feel like this is kind of a good
Yes,
transition
sir.
to what you're trying to talk about.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of a move that Alcor made that has gotten kind of mixed reviews from the Wax community. I kind of agree it was a little bit abrupt. But if you had liquidity at Alcor before this implementation of V3 liquidity, it was a V2 pool. And the way that V2 pools work is, they will take your liquidity, like here you see Wombat and Wax that I've added. And when I look in my wallet, I now have in the wallet a token called Wombat Wax or Wax Wombat or whatever. Let's see. Here it is, Wax Wom. I have all of these tokens, and these tokens represent my position within this liquidity pool. The way that you unwind a liquidity pool position is you take those Wax Wombat tokens and redeem them at the contract for your underlying liquidity. V3 positions no longer use that token model. And so what's happened is as Alcor has updated its V3 model, any existing liquidity that you had in your wallet has been migrated into a V3 position. That position is viewable within your wallet or whatever wallet holds the liquidity. Since if you had maybe staked those tokens to a Wax DAO farm, now the Wax DAO farm contract owns that liquidity, and you can't ask for the tokens back because the tokens no longer exist. But basically what's happened is you will now have a liquidity pool position on Alcor V3, and it'll just by default be set to equal parts from 0 to infinity. So it's effectively the same position, but it no longer is represented by tokens. The way you will see it is that you sign into your wallet, you click on the pool tab, and if you don't see it right away, you can click refresh, but you should then see an open position here. And when you click manage on that position, you'll see that it says your range, which your range here would then, say, down here it would say 0 to infinity. And you can then remove your liquidity the same way you would before. You have a slider and then say remove liquidity. The other difference between this format of liquidity supplying versus the previous, the V2 model, is that in the V2 model, when you earned fees, like you see here, I've earned some fees from our trading or from people trading against our assets. When we earn these fees in the V2 system, like over here on Taco Swap, when the fees are paid into my pool, they'll automatically add to the position and effectively compound. Whereas in V3, the rewards are paid into the unclaimed rewards balance, which is separate from your actual liquidity, and they won't be made available to the liquidity pool for people to trade against, so they don't compound. You would need to come and claim your rewards, or if you remove liquidity, that automatically claims rewards. Also, if you add liquidity, that automatically claims rewards. So doing any type of adjustment to your position will, by default, include a claim rewards function into the transaction. But yes, so the answer to your question is your liquidity still exists. It exists on Alcor, and it is owned by the wallet who held the liquidity tokens. So if you did have a staked position on a Wax DAO farm where you staked a liquidity token, that is now inaccessible to you. And I know that Mike D is working on refunding those balances to people, but it is a manual process. And that's kind of why I was saying that move for Alcor to have migrated everybody's liquidity was kind of ill-advised, because Alcor liquidity is part of a decentralized ecosystem where other developers maybe are using that liquidity token within their contracts, like Wax DAO was. So now because they force migrated, all those contracts broke because those contracts were looking for LP tokens, and the LP tokens no longer exist. But yeah, that's kind of like the long and short of it. But here's last week. This is kind of what I wanted to show. So last week we sold some of our wax. We got 25 wax, and we then took that in the swap and we sold it 100% of it, like 25 wax, all the way for USDC. Or wax USDC, this one. And we got an amount of wax USDC, which, by the way, when you're doing trades on the swap now, there is a little settings button up here that you can toggle the amount of jumps that your swap is going to be looking to do to find you the best deal. And I find I always set that to 3. So here it is. By default, I think it's set to 2, but I have it set to 3. And so what that does is when it finds me a path, like you see right now, it's found me a path. If I click the plus here, there you go. This is actually using 3 hops. So this is going from wax into, normally it would pop up here. I think this is TLM. So it's doing wax into TLM at the 0.3 pool, and then it's doing that TLM back into wax at the 0.05 pool. So it's basically doing an arbitrage between 2 pools, and then it's taking that. So basically we got wax in, TLM out, TLM in, wax out, wax in, USDC out. So it actually added this jump to our transaction, which if I have set this, so by the way, you see it's 16512. If I were to be on default settings and limit this to just 2 hops, then it would not include that arbitrage and we'd probably get a worse deal. Let me refresh this page. It's going kind of slow. But anyway, I guess that's kind of going off the rails a little bit. And I don't want to overcomplicate this. It's already complicated enough without that.
We did have a question/comment. He said, "Wait, your wax USDC pool minimum price was 0.072. I thought it was way lower." I think that's because you're setting it not at the current price. Like you're trying to hit specific price ranges, right?
Yeah. So that's actually let me stick to what I'm actually talking about. So I'm going to set this back to 3 just so that I don't forget to do it later. Yeah. So what we did last week is we took some wax that we unwinded from our liquidity positions. We bought all of it into USDC because USDC at the time was trading at a pretty big arbitrage to what it's actually worth, which I feel like it still actually is. Like if we did that again, if we do 25 wax, you can see it's worth $1.48 spot market right now, but it's probably going to give us more than $1.48 in USDC. And last Friday, it gave us $2 for this or something like that. So yeah, it's gotten a lot closer. So you see it's $1.65, but it's worth $1.48 because there's an arbitrage in difference between these tokens. And that has to do with low liquidity, low demand for these tokens, and not enough people willing to arbitrage. Part of that is because Wax USDC or Wax USDT are both Ethereum native tokens, so they will involve an Ethereum transaction to move back to their main network, which is quite expensive, and there's just not enough volume to kind of like drive that arbitrage here on Wax right now. But we did this last week. We got our USDC, and then we went and we created a pool where we set the price outside of the range. So we set it actually cheaper than USDC. So we supplied all of our liquidity as USDC last week, and we set the range so small, like you see, we're now out of range. And so if I look here, and yoink, this is where the current price is now, and you can see that the price used to be over here. So if I go this in dollars, oh no, in wax, here we go. So yeah, we used to be around what would this be, 8 something. And then as the price fell, all of our USDC was sold or, was used to buy wax. And now instead of having 25 wax like we started with, we got 26 plus the fees that we earned while the wax price changed. So wonderful. That worked really well. Now the position is out of range and this money or this tokens are just sitting here. So I'm also going to remove this liquidity and claim the fees. So that is going to give us our position for next week's play. So now that I've removed this guy should disappear. There he goes. And then this is, of course, our hedge. And so we've positioned this one similarly, where we basically want this position to buy wax as wax goes cheaper. So again, when we opened this position, we did so at a mostly wax or mostly US dollar and not so much wax. And now as the price has fallen, we're actually using our dollars to buy into wax. That's exactly what we want happening here. So this hedge is working exactly as we intended. We're still within our range. We will be in that range all the way for wax to drop to 3 cents. And if wax climbs over 8.2 cents, we'll be 100% in USDC. So whatever your ranges are, you keep in mind that all the liquidity you provide, if you are outside of your range, whichever side of that range you're outside of, your position will then be 100% in the so like in the other token. So if this, for example, on the lower end, so the cheapest, if wax goes to 3 cents, we'll have all of our liquidity in wax. If wax goes to 8 cents or higher, we'll have all of our liquidity in dollars. And while we're within this range, we'll be supplying liquidity and earning fees for all the trading happening. This position I'm going to leave alone. The range is exactly what we want, especially looking at our wax chart. You can see 3 cents is very much a little bit below the current floor, so we're good. It's keeping, it'll keep buying wax if we fall all the way to 3 cents, and then 8.9 or whatever our top is. That's pretty much the top of our current range. So we haven't broken out of this range, so why not? Let's supply liquidity while we're still ranging, and that's kind of why I've set those limits, and those limits still seem to be very much within the trading range that we're currently operating in. So what should we do for next week? Expecting the market to fall, or I guess let me add one more thing here really quick. Alcor has recently done some pretty impressive upgrades here. So you can see this bridge tab now includes wax. So we can bridge USDT, currently is the only option, but we can bridge USDT between wax, EOS, wax Telos, wax UX network, all from Alcor directly. This is really fucking cool because USDT actually exists in pretty deep liquidity on the Ethereum or the EOS network, and the transaction fees for moving across this bridge are pretty much nothing. So, it's nothing if you have enough CPU staked to your wallet to make these things. So it's very, very cheap to move now USDT to a pool there where you can actually cash out. And because it's not just easy to move out, it's also easy to move in. And people moving liquidity into wax in USDT have been supplying USDT now, and really kind of making stable coins on wax become actually pegged to $1 because there actually is liquidity now. So when you're on the swap tab, you maybe have noticed there is now a USDT currency, but you also maybe are noticing that that's not the same USDT as the one we currently have in our hedge position. So we actually have wax USDT, and USDT is the new addition. So wax USDT is the asset that was bridged in from Ethereum through the Wax Cloud Wallet bridge, and then wax USDT, and then just regular USDT here is the asset that is bridged in from EOS where it's natively deployed and into the wax chain or into the other subchains. So when we look at wax USDT, for example, or here's USDT, you can see wax USDT ETH.tokens is the issuing wallet. That's the wallet from the wax team, and then here this one is being issued by .alcor, USDT.alcor. So this is an Alcor native issue token when it's on wax, and when you issue it, when you deploy it back to EOS, it becomes the EOS native USDT. Very exciting in my opinion, because it makes the ability to trade into stable coins very feasible. Because look at the amount of liquidity here now. I could do let's do 10,000 wax into USDT. This is 591 dollars, and oh, there we go, 500. I was gonna say that's not right, But yeah, so we're getting very low price impact for this amount of trading compared to what we've seen in the past on wax. Like trying to do a single swap with 10,000 wax would have been like you're an idiot if you're trying to do that, you know? And now it's actually like realistically feasible because the liquidity in these pools is deep. And that's exciting to me. It also, you know, makes other tokens a little bit more simple to trade into USDT. Now you can, especially with this routing, so like you could trade, you know, basically anything. Like let's do TLM, and you know, big liquidity tokens like this, you can pretty easily also do, you know, like $156 of TLM or 10,000 TLM, and you should get much more than what it's showing. 152. Yeah, you're barely taking a price impact here. In dollar value, basically, you're getting you know, like $1 less. This is uncharacteristic of Alcor. If you've used Alcor for big transactions like this in the past, it hasn't really been able to handle them so well. So it's really nice to see the introduction of these stable coins from EOS mainnet and the subsequent liquidity that's come with them. The other side of why this is so affordable is the range, because the liquidity that does exist is no longer spread between 0 and infinity, but now is much more effectively targeted to you know, where the actual trade range is. So it becomes much more usable. So what does this all mean for what we want to do this week? Well, let's assume that we're correct in our prediction that the wax price is going to potentially fall a bit, maybe back down to like the 5.5, let's just say 5.2 or something range from where we are right now over the next week. We're going to readjust these positions weekly, I think, because we're trying to, you know, kind of use the liquidity pool to trade versus just passively earn some interest. So what I want to do is take the liquidity we have right now, the wax that we have right now, and turn it into a stable coin, and then take that stable coin and pair it with the wax, so that as the wax drops in value relative to dollars, the stable coins we buy now will be used to buy back the wax that we've already sold at this higher price. So let's do that position. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start by turning wax that we have. So we have 54 wax now, which just like to pause and say that's a shit ton of wax considering we started with just 100. But here we have 54 wax, which we could turn into USDT. So let's see which stablecoin we want to use. And I'd like to kind of play this arbitrage game a little bit. It's showing me definitely I'm not getting 500. I mean, I could try this and it'll tell me we didn't get the output that we wanted. See, there it is. So we got to wait for it to actually show you what it's going to give you. So this is actually interesting. This is worth $3.22, but I'm getting 4.74. I'm going to hit refresh. I don't think that would also pass. I have noticed there's been a couple like issues like this lately, but let me test again here. So if we're selling 54.46 in wax, we would get, so it's thinking here, you can see the little things, gears are spinning, 4.7. That's actually, we're trading up aggressively there. I kind of like that. Oh, and look what's happening. We're moving. Oh, that's Kanyet. So we're getting an arbitrage here before swapping. That's actually kind of awesome. I wonder if we can do even better than this by using something like USDC again. CC. So we're looking at 471 is what we're currently pulling from this pool. And if we did the same thing here, it's going to take a second, I think. There we go. 530 almost that we're getting for what amounts to $3 worth. This is a huge difference. The reason it's happening is, oh, we're also hitting that same arbitrage again. So there's a decent arbitrage happening in these pools. I'm going to do this one into 530 USDC. So I'm going to start with this swap. Personally, I know I can take the USDC wax and move it back to Ethereum. So it's not like that risky of a token, in my opinion. And with that amount of arbitrage, when I'm, you know, using $3.50 to buy into stable coins, I'm getting $5.30 back. Great. I'm definitely interested in doing that. But now, so we've done about what was that trade, was like 50 something, let's actually look at what that trade was so I can, get our idea for next week. That trade was, by the way, to do this, I just clicked on the value up here, the wax balance, which opens your wallet on Anchor. And so here's the swap. And we did 54.46. So just under 55 wax. So next week, I'm hoping we have, more than 54.56 wax in value. But the way we're going to do that now is like this. So currently, I'm going to go to pool. And what I'm going to do is pair USDC with wax. But we did just sell all our wax. So the way we're going to do this is choose those two tokens. USDC. There we go. And this pool already exists. You can see 100% selected. The ones that don't exist, if you can use them, but it costs 150 wax to initiate a new pool. So we're just gonna stick with the existing pool. I'm gonna start by making this liquidity very tight. So I'm gonna click this 5 plus or minus. So now it's tightened our range around the current spot price, 5% in both directions. So if I were to supply my dollars here, I would be required to provide equal parts of USD of wax to kind of like, make the counterpart up. But I don't have the wax. So what I want to do now is, you can see here the price of wax is 6 cents and 58 worth in USDC right now. So I will say for my maximum price, I'm willing to pay that 6.51 or whatever. Let's see, 6.5. I'll just use a little bit lower here. 6.5 flat. Now I'm willing to, sell all of my USDC into wax between a price of 6.5 and 6.2. So I could make this a little bit wider and say, I think the price is falling, like I said earlier, maybe like 5.5. So let's just do that. 5.5 is kind of aggressive for 1 week. And since we can adjust this again next week, maybe let's not go quite as hard. Let's go to let's just go to like 5.75 or something, like barely. Like even if it just falls a little bit this week, I would like to use this wax to buy this USDC to buy all that wax back at those prices. So let's do it. I'm going to say 5.75 for this one. Oh, it's frozen for a second here. It doesn't like me toggling back and forth, I think. This interface is also relatively new, and it's pretty complicated what's happening. So, just give it a second to respond. So, okay, I'm going to say 5.75 as the bottom price. And now, again, you can see it only needs one side of this liquidity. It doesn't need wax because we're not offering to buy anything above the current spot price. We're only offering to buy wax below this range. And since the price is outside of the range, that's perfect. So now I'm going to say add liquidity, sign this transaction. It'll say success here, but I want to confirm that it actually worked by seeing this happen. Sometimes you can sign a transaction, you'll get the little error up here that pops up and says, hey, something unexpected or whatever the error is. And then you just basically try again. But now I have a liquidity position here that consists of $5.32. And if the price of wax keeps climbing and doesn't fall, no problem. I'm never going to be in range, and I'll still always have my $5.30. But if the price of wax starts to fall now and falls into the range where we've supplied liquidity, then my liquidity will become in range and we'll be starting to buy back the wax that we've initially used to buy this position. You can also now see here, when I zoom in, this range that's lit up here, that's where we're supplying. And you can see all the different liquidity suppliers who've added and where their liquidity currently lies. So you can see there is liquidity for wax all the way down to like 0.04 or something here, like not a lot, but down to this. But there is not anything between 0.04 and 0, which again, in a V2 pool, there would be liquidity from 0. It'll be more and more available to the spot price, and then it'd be less and less available all the way to infinity. So because we're able to define these terms and we can cap the liquidity at 8 cents and not have to provide it all the way to infinity dollars, we now have way more liquidity available for trading USDC, which makes it, a lot more usable for anyone who's trading into these tokens. The other thing that now is clearly an option is arbitrage. So USDC, for example, has an arbitrage opportunity on Wax, where if you bridged in $1 USDT, you could then use that $1 USDT and get 12% instantly in USDC profit. It's very simple now and free basically to bridge USDT in. It's not so simple to bridge USDC out and capitalize on this. So for this arbitrage to work properly, you would basically buy in until you've made, whatever amount of Wax, and then you'd bridge or Wax USDC, you'd bridge the USDC out and, recover your initial asset. But because of the bridge and the Ethereum network fees, that's pretty prohibitive. And that's why there's quite a bit of arbitrage opportunity here. Personally, I don't mind just holding USDC on the Wax blockchain, understanding that it is, actually fully backed by real USDC. And especially if they're giving me a 12%, incentive to buy it and hold it, why not? If I'm going to try to hold stable coins anyway. And that arbitrage is going to be, the same across the block here. So if I did like 10 Wax, which is 60 something cents, this is going to be like 84 cents instead of 60, 83.8. And you can still see, it's finding arbitrage for me because I have it set to 3, and it's giving me the best deal. In the future, I'm really looking forward for Wapaka's tool here to include the Alcor swaps, because when this is including Alcor swaps, I'll be able to do a trade, like USDT into Wax, like $1,000, and it'll be able to split not just between a single Alcor pool, but between Alcor, DeFi Box, Taco pools, and then multiple different pools on Alcor, not just being limited to 4 hops. So I'm really looking forward to that. But right now, I think the process is in review for I think Wapaka has a, what is that called? On Wax Labs, like a proposal to get funding to add Alcor's V3 liquidity routes to this. But yeah.
We had a bit of a question. Pac was also saying, he's kind of just explaining USDT. He's saying he's very bullish on USDT.
Yeah.
But Boulder Magic said, I think that page where you only provide one token on is where I got confused on when I tried to make a pool on the Alcor testing. When you open the pool, do you need both tokens? And you don't,
not.
right?
No, so I just did open this pool here. I only had USDC. I didn't have any Wax to put up. And the way that you can define what amount of tokens you need would be you choose your pool. Like, let's say we'll do Neon, okay? So if I wanted to add my liquidity to the Neon and Wax pool, you can see where it's already supplied here in the curve. But let's say you have, 10 Wax, but you don't have 1 Neon. Or let's say you have 10 Neon, but you only have 10 Wax, right? So right now with this range, if you were going to supply 10 Neon, it would want you to also supply 95 Wax. Let's say you're cool with supplying your 10 Neon, but this is too much Wax for you right now. What you can then do is just, with these set up, you can just, change the ranges of this. So here we go. What? So I think I did the wrong one. But you would basically say, right now you're willing to supply, here, let me, up here you can toggle the pricing. So this makes more sense to me. I tend to think of Neon in terms of Wax, not Wax in terms of Neon. So I'm going to toggle it like this. It doesn't change anything else you're doing. It's just how it reads the price. But let's say right now the price of Neon is 9.55 Wax. And let's say you're cool with supplying your 10 Neon, like we said. So you got your 10 Neon, but you don't have 99 Wax. You can then say, okay, well, I'll supply my Neon, for 50% lower price up to, or I'll sell my Neon for double what it's currently worth, but I won't supply the Wax. So then you can say, I'm going to do less Wax here. And so now if we did the same 10 Neon, now it's only asking for 28 Wax as the counterpart. The further you move to the spot price, the less Wax you'll need to supply as a counterpart. Now it's only 8. So now you could create a position with 10 Neon and only 10 Wax. And if you don't have any Wax, all you need to do is move this out of the range of the current price, and there you go. Now we no longer need a counterpart in wax at all. So what this would be is like, I'm taking 10 neon, I'm adding them to the pool, and it will start selling my neon into wax if the price of neon starts going above the bottom of my range, and I'll be 100% in wax if the price of neon goes to 18 wax per unit. Now, let's say 18 wax is too, like, you don't think we're going to get there. You could drop this, you could drop this to be 9.6 here, and then you could straight up be like 9.7 on this side. So you could make a really small range, supply all of your neon here, like let's say 100 neon or whatever you have. That's an ass load. 10 neon is a lot. So if you have 10 neon, you could supply it all here. And then if the price of neon starts to climb, like let's say during a blend event or during a time where there's a demand, lots of people are buying neon, the price comes up. Once it hits the bottom of your range, these additional 10 neon that you've supplied to the pool become available until it hits 9.7, at which point your position will be 100% sold out of neon into wax. What could happen is if you supply a position like this, and then the price of neon, has a pump and then drops back down, you could see your position selling all of your neon into wax and then buying all of the neon back on the way back down. By the time you open your pool, you might be out of range again, but you'll have, earned the trading fees into your balance, and you'll have fees to claim on top, like trading fees, and you'll have like arbitrage, because you'll end up with more than 10 if that happens. You'll probably have like 10.3 or whatever neon, no wax, and neon and wax to claim in your pool. And that's kind of what happened if you saw before I emptied out our old USDC wax pool, which had fallen out of range. That's exactly what happened this week. We bought the USDC on Friday. We added only USDC into the pool, and then over the week, the price of wax fell, and all of our USDC sold back into back into wax. And I pulled the wax back out. We ended up with 26.6 instead of the 25 that we added last week, plus the fees that we earned. So you can create asymmetric liquidity positions. They can be asymmetric in terms of little bit on one side, a lot on the other side, or they can be asymmetric all the way where it's only one side that you're providing. What you're doing when you supply asymmetric liquidity is you're deepening the pool on one side over another side. So the reason why a token like a team might be interested in something like that would be like, let's say, honey. I supply quite a bit of honey liquidity on Alcor, but you can see here, yeah, look at this. This is actually exactly what I was thinking. So here, somebody has supplied, let me zoom out on this chart. Look at that. The current price of honey, I guess, let me back out and start a new pool, because I think that was drawing it weirdly. But let's check this out. So we have honey, and we'll do this next, actually, because I like this idea as well. So with honey tokens, we already are here. I'm going to toggle again. We're currently at 2.58. And I was saying earlier, like, yeah, I pulled my honey token, but I don't want to sell them for, less than 2 wax. And I think 2.58, since we've already sold our wax, 2.58 is pretty not bad. But you can see honey token has been ranging above that price for a while, actually. So I'm gonna pull up honey token here. There's actually an even better way to look at this, but okay, here you can see very recently we were at 2.63. We just had a little bit of a sell-off here, and this is in the last couple hours. That could be people pulling from the pool and selling the wax side or the honey side into wax, because the rewards are potentially ending. But let's say I like my honey around like 2.6. I would sell it for this price, but I won't sell it now that we're down below there. So what I'm going to do with the liquidity, instead of just letting it sit there, since we've already taken the wax that we've unwinded from our liquidity pool positions, and we've already turned that into the USDC and put that into the pool here, what we're going to do now is take our honey tokens and add that to the liquidity pool as well. And the way I'm going to do that is also asymmetrically. I no longer have wax to put up as the counterpart, but I am interested in selling my honey tokens at over 250. or 2.5 wax,
We have a
because
couple
I feel like
questions.
that's a good price. Yeah, hit me.
Pop and Stock would like to know: is there a way to view all the participants in the pool? That's actually something I'm not aware of either, because I knew how to do it back when you held the LP token, because you just looked at that. But is
Yeah,
there a way to view
exactly.
all the participants in the pool? And then Boulder Magic also asked, how many pools can you have on the same pair?
Okay, so two really good questions. So viewing the pool like total contributors is a little tricky, especially in the interface in its current iteration. The best way that I'm doing it, or the way that I've been doing it, it's pretty janky. But if you click on manage a position in a pool that you already have, it does tell you what your liquidity is compared to the total liquidity here. So you can see here I have, $2.28 plus a dollar, so like $4 or whatever in this pool. That represents 1.3%. This pool is generally speaking about $400 deep. And then if we go, it's kind of harder to see that if you're in a pool that if you're looking for liquidity depth in a pool that you're not actively participating in. And the way that I've seen that work is here. If you go to TVL, it'll tell you how much value is locked into this pair, and the TVL doesn't change at all if you swap. So this is the TVL of this pool, and so you can see like the USDT pool. The reason why I was able to do like a 10,000 wax trade with like a 1% impact is because there's what is that $18,000 worth of liquidity in this pool. So that's actually in line with what I saw when the bridge went live. Somebody moved about $20,000 of liquidity from the EOS market into the wax liquidity pool, and clearly most of it's still there. It's possible that that is being done by the Alcor team or somebody who is running Alcor. I'm not entirely sure, but there is deep liquidity, and the way to see it is this TVL tab. It's not really great as far as it's not showing me what the curve is. I'd like to see what we saw on this screen. I would love to see a way to like view a liquidity pool and see where, not only how much liquidity, but where is it targeted? Like where is that liquidity available? And that I've only ever seen visualized in a pool where I'm actively having a position. The second question is, how many pools can you make for a pair? Unlimited. You can make, so like, for example, this pool here is out of range, USDC, USDT. You can now just say create another pool, same tokens again, USDC, and you can set a new range for this position, like whatever you want. Like let's say this one will just do 5% left or right of the spot price. So like for this one, $5, let's say I'll add this. I could add that. This is in range, and then on my pools page here, you would then see a second pool that says wax USDT, but it will tell you its own range. You can do that like 100 times over. So what that is really useful for is for when like if you're building a position in liquidity and you want to protect your liquidity in a certain way, instead of supplying it to both sides of a pool like I have here. For example, this pool is 19 wax on one side, $2 on the other side. I could split this into two, where it's 19 wax with no USDT on one side, to the current spot price and down, and then the other side is $2 and no wax, so that both pools only are exposed to what I want them to be exposed to, and they'll have very different ranges. You can absolutely do that if you're a team that has its own token. For example, I guess ARX or whatever, Arena Experience, is kind of a bad example because that was a rug pool back in the day. But I do remember their pool was always like really not deep enough to facilitate buying a lot of their tokens. So I guess a modern example might be something like Novo token, right? So we have Novo Pangea. Novo, they provide their own token. They supply liquidity to this pool. There's quite a decent amount, I think, of liquidity in here. Yeah, a couple $1,000. But what ends up happening in a pool like this is, it's not super conductive for me buying. Like, let's say I want to buy, $500 worth of Novo token. I'm taking a pretty huge price hit. and the team maybe doesn't have a bunch of wax to put up, but if they are the people who issue Novo token, what they could do with this type of liquidity is create a pool that includes wax and Novo for like their base pool, and then they could create a second position that is only Novo tokens, from the current price and up, so that people buying into Novo tokens would be able to get a much better rate for their wax, but people selling out of Novo tokens would still be limited to the available liquidity on the wax side. So it is possible to create asymmetric liquidity for like your team's token, where it makes it very easy for people to buy into the token without a heavy price impact, but very difficult to sell out of it. That's something to be aware of, because there might be it might not be a concept that most traders are used to on wax. If you come across a token like Novo, for example, or like, I don't know, LFG, whatever I have here in my wallet, like I imagine that the price impact for buying and selling this token is equivalent in both directions, and that's just not the case, because the liquidity isn't necessarily equivalent in both directions. So something to note.
I'm the KY is asking, does it use a fuck ton of RAM?
It uses a little bit of RAM, yeah. So you do need RAM when you're making these pools. You can make unlimited pools, but yes, it is taking RAM, because it is basically all this information is stored using RAM when you create the pool, when you broadcast the transaction. So we can actually see that again on blocks here, where all of these like the ranges here, this is all the information that's contained in this transaction. That information requires RAM to be stored on the blockchain. That RAM is required to come from the person broadcasting the transaction. All of that is to say, opening liquidity pools in a V3 format is more expensive in terms of RAM than it was to open a V2 pool, but you get your RAM back when you unwind the position. So if I were to close a pool like this, you free up your RAM again. But yes, you are right to point out it does require RAM to do this. Let me go back to pools here. So right now, what we did for our for this week, we've built this pool. We're waiting to see if we're correct that wax will drop in price a little bit in the coming week, or honestly, wax doesn't really have to drop in price, because you can see the current spot price here. If I go to wax USDT, the current spot price of wax USDT is 0.59, but the current spot price of wax USDC is 0.65. And at 5.9, where we currently are, our position would be well within range. So we don't even need wax to fall. We just need arbitrage traders to arbitrage the price between USDC and USDT for our pool to become viable and make us some wax, which is what we're hoping for. The last thing I wanted to do now is, since we did pull our honey liquidity, and I don't want to sell it, or we're gonna assume I don't want to sell it for the current spot price at $2 or 2.5 wax. What I'm gonna do with it is also supply it as a V3 position. So I'm gonna set honey as my counterpart here, and then again I'm using the pool that's already been created, so I don't have to pay anything to build it. And then with this one, I'm gonna say let's go 10% over the current spot price. These are the presets down here. I like to use these just to kind of like start my range, and then once it's set up like this, I can dial it in to get exactly the range I want. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm moving over. This white line represents the current market price, which is again, I'm going to toggle here, which is 2.58. I want to go this direction actually. So if I'm going to supply my honey here, I don't have the counterpart. I've used my wax already, so I'm going to set this right at the limit there. So 2.59 is a little higher than I want to be. 2.57, 2.58 is the current spot price. If I did 2.57, I would only need 0.8 wax to put the counterpart up. I just don't have the wax right now, so I'm just going to go up to 2.5. Let's do 875 and see what it'll allow us to do. It won't allow us to go any lower than this one. So we'll do 2.59. But we'll do 2.59 all the way to 2.838, or let's go a little bit higher than that. Let's go like, I would sell up to 3, and at 3, I'd be pretty happy. So here we go. Now I'm going to say supply my wax and my honey. It doesn't actually need any wax because my price is outside of the current spot price for honey. So basically what this position is going to be is, hey, sell my honey tokens into wax starting at this price and ending at this price. And again, what we could see is if honey spikes and then falls, we will catch that liquidity. And by the end, like if we return here next week and the price has fallen, even though it pumped earlier, we will likely have made a little bit of honey. We'll have earned a few fees, but we'll still be 100% in honey. There's no way for us to lose basically 9.79 honey unless the price suddenly shoots, well beyond, and then we'll be 100% in wax. And we're okay with that anyway, because we've already defined the price range that we're okay with selling. The other thing to note here, though, is in the past, tokens like honey have spiked to like 10 wax. If something like that happens, and we spike from 2.5 up to 10, you will have sold all of your honey at 3. So you will have missed all of that. If you wanted, like a Hail Mary kind of like, let me catch this shit, what we could do is, instead of supplying all of our honey, let's just supply 8 out of the 9.7 at this range, which I feel like confident we might see. All right, I'm going to cancel and see if we can actually go a little lower now. Yeah, it looks like the price just dropped a little bit. So now we can actually include that bottom price too. Again, I'm going to go to 8. And now I'm going to say add liquidity. There we go. Let's see. Yep, that worked. And then for the remaining honey, I'm going to put like just a quick like hedge. I didn't mean to click history. I'm going to put that liquidity in, but I'm going to put that in to like all the way up to 10 or something. So in case there is some kind of like crazy black swan style event, we'll actually be exposed to the entirety of that, all the way up to 10 wax. So to do that, again, we're just going to, I'm going to choose, the preset -2 plus 10. I'm going to zoom in using the little plus here. And then I'm going to, oops, clicked and drag on the wrong spot here. Again, I'm setting here -2 to 10. I click that. I'm going to boost the price so that we're outside of the current trading range, which is 56.6. So 256.6. There we go. 257 does it for me. And then for the higher end of my range, I'm willing to go all the way up to 10 wax here. And now I can set this. So there you go. I'm going to set 1.79. This will start to sell at this price, but it will not finish selling until we get at least above 10 wax. So now when I say add this pool, success, and then you'll see here in our liquidity pools in a second here, hopefully, I guess I'm going to have to refresh. Like I said, it's a new interface. It's working it out. But there you go. Now we have both these positions. Both are in the same liquidity pool. Both are currently out of range, but they both are tracking 2 different ranges. And so you can see here, the minimums and maximums. It displays this one in terms of wax, or in terms of honey, not in wax. But again, if you click on your position and toggle up here, you can see what your ranges are in the more familiar kind of like layout. But that, without this getting too crazy and going one in one ear out the other, that's kind of a broad overview of like how to set and use asymmetric liquidity on Alcor and with the V3 pools. So a quick like recap here is these liquidity pools allow you to target very specific ranges in which you're willing to supply liquidity. You're able to break your liquidity into multiple ranges. Like you can see here, I have 2 different positions for the same liquidity pair, but with 2 different ranges set. And then you can also use this to effectively create, liquidity scenarios for tokens where it becomes much more possible for like a buyer to buy a big amount of these tokens, even if it isn't necessarily possible to sell that amount, because you can put up liquidity in an asymmetric way so that the buy side is much more stocked than the sell side. Another really good use case for this is now that we're seeing more and more USD pegged assets like USDT, you could take tokens like USDT, which is the EOS native token, and then USDT Wax USDT, which is the Ethereum native USDT token. You could add those to a liquidity pool, and then look at this is actually a great example. If I set this to, like here, even 5% in both directions, and then zoom in, you can see that almost all of the liquidity for this token exists within 5% above or below the current price. So, when there is only a few $100s in a pool like this, the fact that the few $100s are available between these prices is going to make this a lot more like usable for traders. So what this means here is, like, right now it's 9.81 USDT for USD. You could straight up come in here and be like, okay, I'm willing to supply liquidity 9.8 to let's just say one flat, and you could get very tight with your liquidity and make sure that you're exposed to the trading volume, because why would these tokens trade outside of this range? And even if they did, it wouldn't matter to me if I end up in USDT EOS or USDT Ethereum. So this is a really good use case when you have a token that has a range that we expect to stay within. This would be perfect for that. This is also kind of why I would like to move our Neon liquidity eventually over to Alcor, because we know Neon a little bit here in our chat, because that's our token for Neon Space. But Neon token usually will trade around like between 50 cents and $1.50. So we could, using V3 liquidity, we could set that range so that all of our liquidity that's supplied, which currently is, if we go to DeFi box, is relatively deep liquidity. So there is like 20,000 or something wax. Yeah, 21,000 wax worth of liquidity. But because this liquidity exists between 0 and infinity, the price impact that I get when I trade Neon token still relatively high. If instead of going 0 to infinity, we did 50 cents to $1.50, that same amount of liquidity would be available at a range where it actually is trading in, and make the price impact to us as traders when we swap into or out of Neon much less impactful. So it's a really, like, there really isn't usually a good reason to supply liquidity between 0 and infinity, because most of that liquidity will just sit idle and not actually ever be used. So this is a way to concentrate liquidity around the price where it actually is needed, and make it possible for liquidity providers like us who are supplying liquidity here to make sure that our positions remain exposed to the liquidity pools, or the liquidity supply side of things, so that we're always earning fees for all of our liquidity, not just for like 5% of the liquidity we've provided. Hopefully some of that helps to clear it up. If there's any further questions, though, let me know. We're going to check back in on these pools next week and see how they've done. So we'll continue to like keep touching on this, and I feel like deepen the understanding of it by doing. And that's usually like how I learned too. Like, I got into this stuff years and years ago, and it all didn't really make sense until I actually was doing it for a while, and I was seeing how this like stuff was progressing. And I guess I could really quickly pop over to like my yield farming wallet and show how those pools work. Let me just plug in my hardware wallet. Okay, here, let's toggle over. But yeah, so I think V3 is a very powerful liquidity providing tool. It is, I would say, like in gamer terms, it's the meta for supplying liquidity. It is like the way that almost every serious liquidity pool is set up. It was initially introduced by the Uniswap team, obviously, like everything. Like V2 was also a Uniswap original, but it was an open source contract that had a licensing term for, I think it was a year or maybe 2 years. Either way, that licensing term has ended now, and so the open source contract that allows for this type of V3 liquidity is now accessible to pretty much every DEX out there. And you can see across the DeFi scene, basically everybody is implementing concentrated liquidity models now. now that they can copy paste from Uniswap without getting sued by the by the main team in DeFi. But here, for example, you can see these are some liquidity pools I've built on my yield farming wallet. Here's like my honey one, for example, where I had supplied honey tokens. When I started, it was like basically all the way out of range, but honey's been fluctuating around here. And so you have, like a position that's $85 in honey and $20 in wax, earning like 25 cents a day just in rewards. So this is, I've already made 1 honey, 3 wax from this that again, these aren't part of the pool. I can claim these separately now and use them to, maybe make a new pool. At the same time, I was trying to see if I have a couple. I don't have many like duplicate pools. I had before I had it set up where I had my wax USDT pool or USDC pool like this, and then I had a couple other ones that were just like all wax, and they were waiting to basically buy into USDC as the wax market started falling. I didn't want to leave. I had probably like 800 wax or something like sitting like that, so I was like, I don't know, it's pointless to leave it out of range. I want most of my positions to be within range. And so, like, for example, this TLM one, I made a very small range. It's now fallen out of that range. And so what I will do with this is, come back here and adjust this range by making it, moving it closer to the spot price. I'll probably move it just in between this range here, since there's not a whole lot of liquidity.
Boulder asks, did you have to pay 150 wax to make each pool? You should not have to pay that much wax to create each pool. You have to pay the RAM fee to create the pool, and then however much wax you're pairing, you would pay. So like, if you're pairing 150 wax, then yes, but
I did pay 150 wax for one pool. The only time you need to pay is if it's a pool that doesn't already exist. Like, for example, here, Box X, there isn't a pool. See, it says not created. If these say not created, then you decide what like the market range is, and then it'll ask you for 150 wax to create the pool initially. If it's a pool that already exists,
it didn't used to cost wax in V2.
No, that's correct. They did. They added that because they don't want people adding a bunch of like pools for a bunch of shit coins, because the more pools that exist, the longer the routing takes to calculate. So on this page, when you go, swap, and you see how like if I say 10 wax, you see how it's taking some time here to fetch this. The more pools that exist, the longer this process will take. So in an effort by the Alcor team to mitigate people flooding this thing with just a bunch of free pools, they added that fee. I did kind of ask them. Oh, I have no idea. This was advertised on some like on like a banner ad on Waxdown.
I don't know what it is, but I got 770 of it.
No idea.
E-credit coin seems legit.
Yeah, I have no idea what most of these tokens are. But here we go. I have a USDT token, right? This one's pretty nice. This is also like here I could show you the arbitrage opportunity. You got 149. This is actually probably going to produce arbitrage straight away. I'm getting 152 worth of wax for 149 worth of USDT. That alone is a pretty decent arbitrage and a decent reason why I might bridge USDT from EOS, which I can withdraw from Qcoin to EOS and then bridge into wax, all for pretty much no fees. I think there's a $1 fee to withdraw from Qcoin if you're doing it on the EOS chain. In the future, I'm also like savvy to they're working on a way for you to, when you withdraw like your USDT to the EOS wallet, if you put in a memo, like you would withdraw to the bridge wallet directly and then put in a memo that is your wax wallet, you would be able to actually withdraw from Qcoin USDT that hits your wax wallet directly, and you wouldn't have to do anything other than put the memo in. So be on the lookout for that kind of stuff going live. They're definitely building some really cool things. I've also heard rumors that EOS was also, like the token EOS is going to be bridged through this IBC bridge. IBC is
technically right now you can use USDT as a EOS bridge though. Like if you want to buy EOS with wax, trade it into USDT, bridge the USDT over, and then you can buy the EOS because there's enough liquidity.
Yeah.
So like essentially USDT works as the bridge token between EOS and wax at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But in the future, they are planning, I think their plan is to have EOS tokens be part of Alcor on wax. So you wouldn't even need to use the bridge, which I do think kind of like eliminates a little bit of complexity for people who are trading on, who are
But
familiar
it's
with
not
Wax.
easy to
Maybe
get
less.
EOS if you're on Wax. Like for me, I have to go through
No, it's not.
Qcoin. I have to send my Wax to Qcoin and then do centralized trading and then send it out of Qcoin and pay a withdrawal fee. So it's like not ideal.
Yeah,
David
I agree.
Palmer
So
asks, "How's it going for you on staking your Ether versus Wax?" I don't actually stake Ethereum personally.
So yeah, same actually. What I do is, I guess I could show you what I do for Ethereum. There is a next finance. This is a little off the rails now.
Closest I do to staking for Ethereum is I have an LP with Wax and Ethereum paired, Waxy in Ethereum, and then that is staked in Wax DeFi. But and that goes
Here we
pretty
go. I'm a
well.
big.
I like the Wax DeFi.
That does pretty damn well. I agree. Yeah. Uh, Here,
I also
Frax
do
ETH.
think we should
So here,
probably. We're like an hour and 45 in, and we haven't gotten to our second topic yet. So I don't
that's
know if
true.
you can
Let
land
me
this
wrap
plane
up
at some
this.
point.
Yeah. So we're kind of talked over this already, but here's kind of what I've been doing with my Ethereum really quick, since you asked. You can stake, or I will stake mine through Farax. Frax.finance is a DeFi protocol, like one of the major ones. If you look at their dashboard, it's like $1 billion worth of Frax issued and backed by, I think, pretty much 1-to-1 at this point, 95% backed by collateral assets across the DeFi scene on Wax. But they also have a, similar to Lido protocol, they have a way for you to stake. So I can come here, I stake my Ethereum, and in exchange for staking the Ethereum, I get Farax ETH, which is a token that's liquid in my wallet. Farax ETH you can then redeem, like unstake again, and you get your original Ethereum back, plus so you'd mint it with regular Ethereum here, and then you would stake it here. So once you unstake it, you basically get back your Farax ETH plus the ETH that you've earned, and you can unwrap it. Currently, the staking yield there is about 6.33%. That on its own is pretty nice, but what I'll do is I do that, and then I go to like a DeFi exchange, and then here there's a liquidity pool farm where they are offering incentives for me supplying staked SFRX. So this is staked Farax ETH. So that's that Ethereum. It's basically minted with Ethereum and then staked here, and that turns into SFRX. So there you go. This asset that I get for having it staked, I then supply with a pair of Ethereum, and on top of earning the 6% in ETH, plus earning the trading fees between Ethereum and what amounts to also Ethereum. So very limited exposure to like impermanent loss or decay loss in a position like this. But on top of all of that, I will earn 12% paid from this liquidity pool as well. So it's the 6% plus the 12. This actually makes the Ethereum stake quite lucrative, much more so than my Wax stake. And I would say lately, when I've been claiming my Wax tokens, I've been averaging about 5.6% APY, which is not bad, better than 5%, which most people think is the current rate. So, and of course, when you are staking your Wax, you need to make sure that you come up to your account. If you go to wallet, and then you go to like governance, or you do the voting, or I guess I do that from my other wallet here. But I guess what I do is like I'll come here and I'll claim my rewards every few days, and then I'll also make sure that once a week or once every 2 weeks at least, I resubmit the voting transaction.
David also asked, "What do you do with the governance of the Waxy?" And the answer to that is nothing currently. WaxG is the governance token, and there is no governance. Like you can't. I mean, theoretically, in the future there will be governance, but currently there's never been a vote, so you can't vote on stuff. But what you can do is you can burn it for Ethereum and ERC20 WaxP rewards. WaxG can be burned out of a piggy bank that's just holding Wax stuff. So you can either wait until it has utility, or it's backed by Ethereum and WaxP. So like even if you don't use it, like the value that's backing it can only be taken out if you take it out. So basically like the value backing it is spoken for, and that's why I haven't like bothered burning mine yet, because I should still get the rewards later. Although the sooner you burn, the more ether you'll get, because they stopped the ether rewards. Now they do WaxP rewards. So like they're adding WaxP to the pool, and people are pulling ether out of the pool, so your percentage of Ethereum is going to go down the longer you wait to pull it out of the Wax G rewards.
Yeah.
To
So
my
here you
understanding.
can see what Lewis is talking about. So here's like a position I have for staking Wax E and Ethereum liquidity on Uniswap. So it's already staked. I guess I could unstake it here, but you can see the claim rewards. They're just collecting right now. I haven't been claiming them. It's pretty fucking expensive to claim. Let me see what they want for this.
I'm the KY
Yeah,
also asks, is there a way for
that.
creators to incentivize the pools? DeFi is cool and all, but Taco or Box still seem better for engaging the community. And no, I don't think there are any user tools
There's
to
not anything built.
incentivize
There's not anything
pools.
built in, no. But it is possible to look at the blockchain, see who's providing, and then for a third party to incentivize a pool. But yeah, that's not part of Alcor's interface or anything that I'm aware that they're working on. But yeah, here's the rewards. You see, I'm earning the Wax G, and
That's
I'm
also
earning Wax
not.
P.
That's not normally a thing on like most DeFi protocols. Like
No,
Taco's
yeah,
the only one I've seen
usually,
where you can just incentivize any pool you want. Like that's not really a thing on most DeFi protocols.
yeah.
And
Generally
DeFi Box
speaking, it's
also
like
you can't do that.
engaged.
DeFi Box you have to talk to their team and they have to do it for you. It's not like you can just automatically incentivize whatever you want through DeFi Box. Like they might,
Yeah, exactly.
like they literally wanted to charge us money to incentivize our pool on DeFi Box. Like we were like, can we give away free
DeFi
shit through
Box.
your platform? They're like, yeah, for money. And we're like, I will just figure out how to do it on our own. Fuck you guys. Like we're not gonna pay you money to give people free money.
It's another reason why I wanted to migrate over to Alcor. They're actually building stuff. But yeah, here's what Lewis was saying. So I have like 52 Wax G. I could burn it. If I burn it right now, I would get 208 Wax P and 0.058 ETH. The 0.058 ETH is being diluted as more Wax G enters the pool, but the Wax P is actually increasing. So like that's what Lewis is saying. If you burn it now, you'll get a higher proportional amount of Wax E. I'm sorry.
Value
Of
should essentially be the same, but it's dependent on the value of Wax versus Ethereum. But you know, you can't
Yeah,
predict the future.
it
of
used
which
to
one
be
will
that
more
this
valuable.
would only collect Ethereum, and once they introduced Ethereum Wax P token, they phased out the Ethereum rewards. So this is just the remainder of those rewards from a bygone era, basically, and they won't ever increase. It's only the Wax P that is increasing at this point.
It's also
But
super
burning it is
unclear what
pretty
the
much all
future
you
use
can do.
case of this token is. Like they literally said they're probably going to move Wax governance back to Wax off of Ethereum. So like, what the fuck is the
Yeah,
point of a governance-based token on Ethereum for Wax if that's not even where the DeFi is anymore? So I don't
yeah,
really understand how that's going
in,
to work, but we've talked to Lucas like in person on the stream, and he assured us the Wax G token will have relevance in the Wax ecosystem in the future. So they
yeah.
say it's going to have a future use case, but you know, the
It's
reason again why I haven't sold
supposedly
mine is it's guaranteed that is backed by value. So like even if they come up with
yeah,
zero use case for it in the future, I can still get Wax for it. So like that's not going anywhere. So I'm kind of fine holding on to it while they figure it out. But like as long as it's backed by the Ethereum and Wax and the piggy bank, like it's worth something.
yeah. And then the proposed use case for Wax G is to vote on the tokenomics fee of the Wax ecosystem, like the 2% fee that is currently being split, 80% and 20% being burnt,
Yeah,
80% being
or other
blah
stuff,
blah blah.
but
Blah.
it just you know realistically speaking has never actually happened. Also, hello Priscilla,
Yeah, it has.
Valor and Vellum in the house.
And let's see, do we? Oh, this is my wallet. It's like, why do we have 5 Wax left? But yeah, so we've created our pools for this week. I think we're expecting to see potentially, like I said, CPI report coming in tomorrow. I think we're going to get a more clarity in the markets. I hopefully am seeing correctly that we're going to be pushing down a little bit. But again, Wax is, it's on a support level here pretty aggressively, where it has bounced in the past, where it has, been kind of like hovering in the past as well. So we'll see if this can hold and turn into like a bounce area here, or if it's going to push down. But we have set up our liquidity pools to catch more Wax if we start selling out, if we start moving down. And that's kind of the way I want to be positioned for this coming week. We're going to revisit this next week, take a look at our pools and see how they've fared. But for now, hopefully that is a decent oversight of what's going on with the Wax liquidity pools on Alcor. It's definitely a major shift in how liquidity is provided, and it's definitely like don't feel like bad or stupid or something if you don't understand it. It's really fucking complicated.
People
It takes
didn't understand how liquidity pools worked in V2 liquidity. Like,
yeah,
the general
like
understanding of how liquidity pools and wax was very poor before this, and this is a more complex version of that. So
yeah,
I wouldn't
exactly. Now,
wouldn't expect
yeah, don't
anybody to
feel
understand how this stuff works. It's not intuitive. It's not like something you just look at and you're like, yeah,
it,
this is like easy to use.
even just clicking here and knowing that this will toggle like the way that it displays, like that like changes a lot for people who are like, I don't know what the fuck these ranges are. It's like, oh well, yeah. It's like I don't think of
Did you already
dollars in terms
move
of
around the
wax.
10 wax investment stuff or the 100 wax investment stuff?
Yes. Yeah. So we're all wrapped, I think, on the investment side. Let's change gears here and let's take a look at what is like the
Look at
Funko drop right now or the
Atomichub
Atomichub
whitelist
one. Yeah,
thing.
I want to see that one first. Yeah,
I
let
sort
me
of briefly read through this. Here's me refreshing this market, trying to find a Zay Flowers. They're starting to get in my buy range though. Friggin' there was a
I love what KY is saying. He just doesn't
Jordan
know how it
Addison
works. See,
for
this
5
is
here.
why Wax is so great. The fact that there's like no fees for you to create these positions and test it out is wonderful. You really is great for learning. I had to learn how to do this on Ethereum on Uniswap, and God, every time I made a pool, it cost me several dollars. So this is the perfect place for you to kind of get a footing in how V3 liquidity works.
Yeah, wide receivers
Ooh,
are
that's bad.
five right now. If the right one goes for 5, like I'm looking for Zay Flowers, not Addison, but right now you can get JSN, Addison, or Quentin Johnston for like 5 to 6, which is like I got 6 in my wallet. If I can get them for 6, I'm buying it. So if y'all are wondering what I'm doing in the background while Max is explaining tech stuff, I'm just refreshing this page over and over and over, and I missed most of the tech talk even though I was involved in it. That's what I've
I
been
got a couple
doing.
good scoops. I got one. I got like a rare running back yesterday for 2.8 mythos, and
Rare
then
running
I
back?
missed it. Oh no, yeah, the blue, yeah, the blue running back. Someone like fat fingered it.
Travis Etienne Jr.?
No, not him. Who was it? Oh wait, no, it wasn't a running back. It was a DE,
Yeah, that makes sense.
defensive end. Yeah,
That makes total sense. Getting a rare running back doesn't make
yeah.
any fucking sense. The cheapest running back's like
Somebody
$20.
listed. I saw and I clicked, but I was too slow. Somebody listed a like the red card for 4 fucking mythos, and I clicked it and I like tried to buy it, and it was like someone's already buying this. It's like
People think
fuck.
those are like trades. Like someone's like voice chatting and they're like, "Hey, refresh right now," and I'm selling it for 4, so they can like trade it between accounts without.
Yeah,
It's
but I
supposed
was
to be.
just sitting there refreshing, so I was trying to like scoop the guy's trade.
There's now only 2 Kittles left on the entire market.
Damn,
Mine
dude, I
and one
think yours is
other.
gonna sell.
I upped my price, and if this other one sells, I'm literally the only seller, and I might up my price even more. It becomes a seller's market. If you want Kittle, I have the only one.
Oh, nice. You're at 420, huh?
I moved up to 420 since the prices went
Fuck,
down.
dude. That's
We'll see if it
about what
actually
I got
sells.
after I arbitraged the Mythos tokens that I made. But yeah, that's kick ass. If it sells for that, Kittle
I'm also
fucks.
trying to sell
So
my Andrew Thomas for 7.9 right now, which is a little overpriced if I'm being honest. But if you go by position and go by offensive line, like, fuck, I clicked the wrong button. Lowest. The floor is like 6 right now, so like
yeah,
these need to sell, and then I'm right here. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 16 lower than mine. So if 16 offensive linemen sell, mine's the cheapest, and then it will probably go. But we'll see. Whether this one sells is going to be whether or not Myth recovers in price. Like if Myth keeps going up in price,
yeah.
this is not going to sell for 7.9. But if it goes down, it will.
I kind of like that too about the dynamic of like the price action for Myth.
Also, news you can now look at the sales on NFL Rivals. You couldn't see if stuff was selling on the market, but Crypto Slam now tracks all this. What the fuck? Somebody bought a helmet for 4 Myth? I would have bought that. That's like a fucking
Fuck
Rarity
me,
League
dude.
helmet.
I bought that immediately.
Yeah,
Damn,
now you
dude.
can kind of
Something
track the
about
stats,
this
which
one,
for me is important because I'm playing this aftermarket. So like seeing if stuff is trending up or down is important for buying it at the right time. Ooh, this guy sold
yeah.
for 5 Myth. That was the one I was looking at.
Shit, dude. That's a good one. People are definitely like, I've definitely gotten a couple of good scoops by just like refreshing the market.
Yeah, that's what I've been
Like you
doing.
said, yeah,
It's
like
also
what you're
like
doing instead of too new.
I do this and I'm playing Wombat again, so I'll put Wombat on like 5 minutes and just refresh the market and do this. Then I also play
Nice.
rounds like the way I like doing it is playing one game. Games take about 3 minutes, and then refreshing the market. So like every 3 minutes, I get a new snapshot of what's going on after my games. Like just living in the
Yeah.
NFL Rivals world. But anyway,
No,
enough off-topic
that's
stuff.
good.
Let's look at
Yeah, let's look at the new Atomichub listings here, or badge system rather.
I'm not playing STG football yet. One of the like team members of the STG football team thing came into our Discord and was trying to get us to promote it on stream, so we'll probably check it out, but I'm not into it yet. I am very into Rivals right now. All right, let me just read this.
I'm fucking blown away by Rivals.
Introducing our badge system. I thought I was going to say new badge system, but just badge system. It says new badge system here.
Ah.
All right. Until now, collections were required to achieve whitelisted status before their NFTs were shown by Atomichub by default. As previously discussed, we realized that this system... How long ago was that? I'm actually interested. I feel like that was like at least 6 months ago, maybe longer. October 19th, 2022. October, November, December, January, February, March, April.
Oh, yeah.
That was like 8 months
Have
ago.
you lost any rival games yet? I'm curious too, actually.
Yeah, I've lost rival games.
Yeah, me too.
I went a really long time without losing a game, though. I lose games now because, like, I don't know, I'm just more aggressive. Like, I can win every single time if I want to by running, but the way you win the tournaments is by having a higher spread. So if you only run, you're not going to have a big spread as people that are passing. So, like, you need to pass to get the highest high score. So if you really want to be, like, top 20, you can't use my strategy. That's, like, a conservative strategy. And occasionally I lose when I'm getting aggressive. All right, I'm going to keep reading. Until now, collections were required to achieve the whitelisted status. Okay, I already read that. With this in mind, we're taking a more objective approach to what we allow on Atomichub and are giving you, our users, the power to direct your own experience. This will be achieved through our new badges, which will be rolled out later this week. Notice, this update brings fundamental changes to Atomichub. We strongly recommend all collection owners to read this blog in its entirety. I'm a collection owner, and I am planning on reading this blog in its entirety. What is the badge system? Our new badges will completely replace the current whitelisted/verified system. Rather than the current list of checks and requirements to appear on Atomichub by default, collections need to pass 2 basic requirements. Prove that your collection and NFTs have no copyright concerns or prohibited content, and pass a KYC check with an officially recognized ID and proof of address. I believe we've done both of those already.
Yep.
This will award a collection with the content and identity badges respectively and will show the collection on Atomichub by default. These 2 badges must be obtained before any others will be displayed. Once these 2 badges have been obtained, rather than a tick, a hexagon icon will display next to the collection name on the marketplace and on their collection page. When clicked, a modal will open displaying which badges that collection has achieved, helping you make an informed decision on the NFTs you purchase. These badges either recognize important milestones and achievements for a collection. Wait, what? Or can be applied for. That's a weird sentence. Yeah, like it shows here, CryptoMonkeys have content, identity, business, creator's choice, NFT holders, market volume. I like this actually. Like,
Oh, that's cool.
there's more badges, but it says at the launch, the following badges will be available: content, as described above; identity, as described above. Which I believe we will have those badges because we verified our identity in our business already. We're KYC'd, and we've also showed them evidence that we draw our own artwork, and we've showed them the creation of our artwork. So I believe we'll have those 2 bits. And then business, an optional badge requiring the collection to pass a KYB check. Done that. Collection age displays the age of the collection. Greater than 6 months, greater than 1 year, greater than 2 years. We're greater than 2 years.
Ooh, let's go, baby.
Market volume, that's the one where we're on the low one. Displays the listed total market volume under 100K, under 500K, under a million. We are under 100K. Tree Lover displays the CO2 offset of the collection. We have some CO2 offset, but I don't know if we're crazy for that one. NFT holders, this I really, really like. Displays the number of holders of that collection. So it shows you like the number of unique wallets holding the collection. That's nice. That really should be on every collection page. Like on OpenSea, it tells you how many unique holders are on the collection, which is really important information if you're an NFT collector. Creator's Choice, given to the winners of our Creator Choice, Gold, Platinum, and Diamond. We also want a Creator Choice badge. So, yeah, boys should be getting the Creator's Choice badge.
Damn, we got a bunch
should
of
honestly
badges.
be getting... pretty much all the badges except a major brand given to collections that include have licensed NFTs from recognized brands. I would say we are not a major brand, but we should have pretty much all the other ones, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll just have to go get some licensing deals.
Yeah. Okay, in practice, what does this mean? Our new badge system removes subjectivity from playing any role in what NFTs are shown on Atomichub and makes the process of listing your collection on Atomichub simpler, easier, and crucially more objective. That I think I agree with. Like, the whole like verified thing didn't make sense as far as it's like you need to pass these checks, but then also like if we think you're big enough a deal, you're verified. There was no like threshold that they could measure. So I actually appreciate this.
I think the carbon offset thing has to do with how much like wax people have donated through your collection to do a carbon offset, because that's like an option.
Yeah, that's on every collection. If you look,
yeah,
Neon Space, we have carbon offset too. It says right here, carbon offset 34 kilograms, and that's every time you make an aftermarket purchase on Atomichub. It lets you say like it's basically like when you go to a grocery store and you spend like $1.89. They're like, "Would you like to round up for charity? Throw in the extra 11 cents." They do that when you buy NFTs on Atomichub. They're like, "Would you like to round up for carbon offset?" And you pay extra wax, and then somehow
I did that last time I was buying. Last time I bought some Sunes, I also bought some carbon offset for the Sune collection.
But we're losing 40 football fields a day. I actually haven't even really read into how this works. Maybe this will be a good dive for another day. Maybe we should, because I haven't actually like looked where the money goes. Like I know it says you paid that money, but like I haven't verified they're actually using that money to plant trees.
Yeah, I haven't either. I honestly, I just bought it so that the number of like kilograms would go up on the collection I was buying from.
I also like, I don't know, after having some bad experiences with like the Uplift and Uplift art, like I'm not sure that all the projects that raise money for charity are giving them to charities. So, yeah, I assume Atomichub's doing the right thing here, but maybe we should do some research and bring this up next Tuesday. But let's go back to our badge system. In practice, what does this mean? Our new badge system removes subjectivity. I already read that. In short, it means the following. AI art is now permissible to be used with NFTs. In the coming weeks, we'll be rolling out an AI. Great. Put a fucking label on it so people know they're buying AI-generated garbage, which creators will need to apply to all NFTs containing AI art. This ensures that buyers are aware that they're purchasing AI-generated art. I think that's a good solution. Like, I don't think AI art should be banned, but also, like, people shouldn't be passing off AI art as, like, originally hand-drawn art. Stock imagery is now permissible to use, but it requires the license to be obtained. That would be an awesome badge, like letting people know you're using fucking stock images. That'd be pretty that'd be pretty brutal, to be honest. Unlockable content is now only available to collections that obtain their content and identity badges. That makes sense to me too. As a reminder, should any part of your NFTs contain not safe for work content, they must be tagged with the NSFW label. This ensures that the NFTs are blurred for users that do not wish to see the content. So maybe you can do that on individual NFT templates now.
It sounds like it's a per template thing now. That's great.
Which means maybe we should consider doing that on any of ours with like swearing or, risque stuff, just to be safe. If you've passed a KYC check, okay. I didn't read the first sentence. I am a collection owner. I am. What do I need to do? If you've passed a KYC check and your collection is currently whitelisted, your collection will automatically receive the content and identity badges. If you have yet to undergo a KYC check, you will need to apply to receive your content and identity badges. To ease with the transition, we'll be offering a 2-month grace period where whitelist collections will be displayed by default alongside collections that have obtained their content and identity badges. Once this grace period is over, whitelisted collections that have not obtained these badges will be hidden by default. That means my collection's probably going to... The gyrating hips is whitelisted, but that shit's for sure going to get de-whitelisted. I also don't have a registered business and stuff for the gyrating hips, so it's not going to... I don't know. I'll reach out to him and see what happens, but I feel like the gyrating hips is probably going to lose its fucking thing. We strongly recommend all creators to apply for your content identity badges, which you can do here. Please be aware that whilst the process for obtaining content identity badges is relatively straightforward, there may be a delay. I might just reach out to them and be like, hey, do you have what you need for us before I reapply? Because I think we did that already, but also I don't mind reapplying if we need to. Do the additional
Yeah,
badges affect how my collection is seen? No. The collection has obtained the content identity badges. It will be seen everywhere. There is no higher tier. Let's go.
that's good too.
We still blacklist collections? Yes. You can be blacklisted for blatant impersonation of a known entity, copyright infringement, extreme violence, gore, hard drug use, or pornography. And what about rug pulls? When a collection is blacklisted, this results in their NFTs being removed from the inventory of all their collectors by default. This can lead to confusion. Users who have purchased an NFT from these collections may feel justifiably annoyed that their NFTs no longer have use or value. They're just not usable on your marketplace. They still exist within the people's wallets, and they can still do whatever they want with them.
Yeah,
Blacklisting a collection should always be a last resort when all else fails. Our goal is to reduce how often we blacklist collections and make the reasons clear to our users when there's unfortunately no other option. With this in mind, if we receive credible reports from users with valid concerns, we will display a clear warning on the collection page and at the point of the sale on the marketplace. As a rule of thumb, we will not blacklist collections that are inactive or have concerns outside of the reasons outlined above. So basically, if you rug pull on wax, you're no longer getting your whitelist removed. That's what they just said.
huh.
Like, unless it's copyright infringement or you're impersonating somebody else, you can lie to people, sell them fake shit, and still all the other stuff applies, and you still get to keep your badges. So
That
now
does
it's on
kinda
the
sound
users to
like
protect themselves because the users bitch they didn't want Atomichub verifying stuff. So now it's up
oh,
to us to make sure we're not getting scammed because they're not going to stop them. So it
yeah,
is what it
fair
is.
enough. We're gonna keep our eyes on all this shit, and you know, we're still super fucking strict about what we promote anyway, though. So
I'm
not
actually a
much gets
fan of
through
this new
these days.
system. I think
I like this too.
the old system was too partial. It's too like they had too
Yeah,
much their opinions influence us. It's too much. This is very like cut and dry. You're either this or you're not this. Um, yeah, I don't know. And I actually kind of was okay with them blacklisting rug pulls and stuff and trying to protect the users.
I was too.
But I'm also fine with them just being like, look, this is decentralized. Like, we either have to go that way and make the verified thing or go the other way and say, like, these are our rules. We can't make exceptions. Like, either you're breaking these specific rules or you're not. And rug pulls aren't breaking those specific rules. And those rules are too much of a gray area, whether or not a collection is inactive or not. Because, like, you know, people
Yeah,
can deem a collection inactive because they're not developing it in the way they want to develop. And, like, I don't know. So, definitely an interesting
yeah.
change. Like, Jeff said something about the Wombat server being hacked, not to click links. Okay, good heads up. I
Yeah,
haven't
good
actually
luck.
looked at the Wombat server in days. There's 500 pings there for me. But maybe don't go there if it's maybe hacked.
Yeah, just hang out for a while till there's more news about it. I think let other people figure it out.
Um, let's see. So I
That's
think
pretty
that's
cool,
all.
though.
That's all in the
Yeah,
badge thing. I
good to
think,
that.
right? Like,
I think that's pretty
but
cool.
I
Like
guess
that.
for Neon
That's the
Space, all you need
updates.
to know is we will no longer be level 2 verified, but we've already done the KYC and the KYB stuff, so like we'll be fine.
Yeah, we've also. Yeah, we pretty much. I don't know if we wouldn't qualify for some type of verification, then I feel like most people shouldn't.
I also think it's
Like,
fine not. The coolest thing
yeah,
we'll have is the creators winner thing. Like we're gonna have the badge where it's like the community choice collection, which is gonna be huge for us, I think, because like one, not a lot of collections have that. Two, like I don't know, it's just like literally saying the wax community supports us as part of the badge, which is like hell yeah. So I'm excited about that. Like that's good for us as far as like we're gonna have unique things that other collections, like straight up, you know, that like have spent way more money than us and like have bigger properties will not get that because like
yeah,
Tops, Funko, they don't get the Creators Choice Awards because they're not actually a part of this like community or ecosystem. They're not a part of the wax
yeah. That's
community in the
true.
same way that we are. So like we will have stuff that those massive brands do not that did nothing but cash grab and didn't build a community. So that's kind of cool, I think. I'm actually pretty happy with how
Oh,
this went down, and I feel like it's good for Neon Space. Like this isn't bad for us. The old system
I
would have
agree.
been bad for us. They would have removed our level 2 verification. We would have gone down a level of verification, which was like, what? Like, we're one of the most reputable brands on Wax. Why are you removing our stuff? So like that made me upset, and I went and complained in multiple forums for days, and then they fixed the system. So I would say good job, Atomichub. Like they took the feedback I
I
had, which
Yeah,
I had some
I
very
kind of
very
agree.
critical, harsh feedback, and they pretty much did everything I wanted. So
Yeah,
As much
I feel
shit as
like
I've talked about Atomichub, gotta give them props when they do good stuff, and I think this is a good update.
yeah. I'm with
I
you there.
also want the badges too. Like the fact that we're not gonna have the 100,000 badge. I'm like, okay, everybody, pump our aftermarket. We need to get that
Time to
100K
wash.
badge.
Time to wash trade. Everybody list your stuff and then buy it back yourself from a different wallet.
All right, and then I guess this is a good transition to
Uh,
today was a Funko drop. It was the
yeah. Bam.
digital.
I just saw the Bam Bam.
It's sold
It was
out.
a.
The Flintstones X
Of
Funko.
course it did. Let's see. Can we scoop a Dino for how much is Dino right now?
Let's see the redeemables. So the Grail's Fred.
Yeah,
Fred with
cooking
like the
Fred.
pizza spatula or whatever you want to call it. We got a Barney Rubble as a fireman. We got Dino the dinosaur. I like that with the bone. Dino's definitely my favorite. Then we
Yeah.
got a Wilma Flintstone. Oh, and she's got a. Is that Bam Bam? Who's the little one? Bam Bam's the boy, right? That looks like a girl.
Yeah.
And
Bam
then this never
Bam and
works for some
Pebbles.
reason. Pebbles. That's right.
Pebbles. Oh, and then that's Velma.
Who's the little girl?
Velma.
See how she's holding a little girl?
Oh yeah.
I actually haven't fucking seen the Flintstones in probably 15 years. It's
Yeah.
not a show that pops into my life very often.
Yeah. It's been a while.
I also feel like Flintstones was like, even for us, was kind of like an older show. Like, it wasn't like,
Yeah.
you know, like Pokemon is our generation. Like, Pokemon blew up when we were kids. Flintstones is like
Yeah.
our parents' generation. Like, that shit was cool for people
Yeah, for
20
sure.
years older than us.
The Bam Bam's
Yeah.
are pretty good. I like that where he like grabs Barney and just smacks.
Yeah, he's like super strong.
That's like his whole bit is just he's like super strong.
Lots of the Wombat Discord channels are suddenly gone. Yeah,
I don't know.
I'd recommend just staying out of the
That's
Wombat Discord for
that's
a
the
day or
way,
so until
yeah.
that blows over.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe one of the mods has gotten hacked or something, is what you were saying. Good
That's
looking
why
out.
in our
Metro.
server,
Good to make us aware of that shit.
you can't do anything in our server as a moderator without 2FA on your phone. I changed
Yeah.
that for our Discord, so like, I don't think Max can actually use the moderator stuff. Like, when Max logs in, it's like you don't have 2FA, so you're not a mod anymore, and Max never fixes it. I'm pretty sure that happens. But
Oh no. 2 epics total from 5 premium packs. Yamster, are you pulling premium packs from rivals?
are you talking about the $100 pack? Because that's fucking horrible. If that is, that sucks.
That's insanely bad RNG.
Hopefully, you at least got like the right epics. If you get the right epic, that's not like the worst pull. Like if you get Gibbs sells for
from
like
Funko.
35, 40 bucks.
Whew, for Funko. Okay, I was worried for you for a second. I was like, how are you pulling?
That makes
such
sense. We're
bad
talking about Funko right now.
Yeah, I just got
2
rivals
epics
on
total
my-
is fucking horrible for 5. That's even worse though.
That's
Like
that's
that's worse
way
RNG
worse
than
than
what
the
we're talking about
rivals.
for
Yeah,
rivals.
Jesus.
5 premium packs and 2 epics. Like not
Dude,
if you open
what?
5 premium packs and don't get a
Legendary?
single redeemable, that's bad luck. Like you didn't even get, I don't know, 2 epics is real bad.
That's
I'm sorry.
trash,
Rest in
dude.
peace, your
Fuck.
RNG.
Dude, it was a good sacrifice to somebody else, though. I'm sure somebody else's came up hard. One standard pack with 2 grails.
So Fred's selling for 160 right now.
Yeah, damn.
I like this
That's
NFT too.
pricey
I like
compared to like. I think
how
Barney was-
Tino's like smelling the meat in the background.
Yeah. He pops up on the left and then on the right. That's good.
Let's see what the
Dino was like a lot more. Yeah, Barney's the fucking cheapest one, huh?
these are actually these are doing better than some of the other drops though. Like the floor being 40 is pretty good for the renewals. It's Wilma
Damn,
holding
Pop and Stock
Pebbles.
also having shit luck.
What is up with? Why is she smelling his hand? That's weird, right? Oh, he's playing with her. I thought she was sniffing his finger. I was like, what is going on in this NFT?
He's like, smell my finger.
It's still a weird animation. I'm gonna throw it out there. That's a weird animation. I'm not a fan of this NFT. Looks like Dino is the most desirable. I don't see any Dinos on the floor. Yeah, what the shit? Do you know the cheapest one is $70? Turns out we're not the only ones that think he's the coolest one.
Yeah, Dino's the one, dude. Let's
He's
see.
trying the right
Best.
out.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
I like this animation. This is a good one. I'll keep an eye on this. I would maybe buy Dino for like $35, but 70 is way out of my price range.
Yeah,
But that's
I'm
one of
not
the ones where
surprised he's the
like
most pricey. He's great. His redeemable is great. Let's see. The best strategy for Funko packs for flipping. That's a good question. I
it's
feel like
definitely not waiting
flipping,
until the redeemables come out. I'd say that much.
definitely not. I think flipping the packs themselves without ripping them. How's that going right now? What's the
Packs are
floor price of the
$12
packs?
for standard pack. That's honestly like with
Yeah,
the
it's
like
about,
taxes
yeah,
and fees and shit.
taxes and
That's basically
everything.
what
Yeah,
you're paying for. Like that's not really a
kind of
profit.
breaking even. It's not a good flip.
And 36 also for the premium pack. I don't know.
Dino
I don't
did
really
look like
buy
he was
Funko stuff
blocking.
to flip anymore. Like it's pretty hit or miss. It depends on
Yeah,
it depends on the property. If we're being real, like some of them are flippable and some aren't. So it's like a gamble. Like it's not
yeah,
guaranteed you can flip Funko packs. It depends on if the Funko community wants the collectibles inside the packs. If they do, then generally the packs go up.
yeah.
If they don't, then they go down. So like
You
you
can
basically just
get the
like need
sense
to
of
know
that.
what the Funko community wants, which I honestly am not as tuned into as someone like C.S.
Pop and
Soley
stock.
or Dr. Crispy or even Priscilla with Sune, Valor, and Vellum. Like the Nerds Unite community would honestly be much better. Honestly, if Pop and Stock isn't here, Pop and Stock, so you should be talking to Pop and Stock, understands like
Yeah, he knows. I was gonna say
how to
pop and
do this
stock
stuff.
is like
Pop and Stock's
he's
the
the
one
guy
with the
that
strategies where
knows.
he's like, uh, sell your epics when the packs drop, and then buy the redeemable tokens when they come back. Because like it costs more money to complete the sets than it does to buy the redeem tokens. So if you sell people the stuff it takes to redeem the sets before the sets are redeemed, you actually like can sell them and then buy the tokens back for less later, and you can like make more selling the NFTs than completing the sets, and then buy the set bonuses afterwards or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
definitely
think you
recommend
can also
following
get a
Pop
good
and Stock
sense
for
of
that
the.
though.
Yeah, you can get a decent sense of like how the demand of the community is by seeing how many of the packs are ripping on pack drop day. And like right now, it's like standard packs about
Yeah, this is what
6,000,
Priscilla said. I
16.
feel like there's too many variables for there to be one universal answer, kind of a case by case by license. And I'd say the same thing.
Yeah,
Like not all Funko drops sell the
definitely.
same or even close. Like some Funko drops do like 8x the volume of other Funko drops. So it's like
Yeah,
very dependent on the demand.
it's a tricky market to play for sure. This one seems to have like decent interest because the packs are like pretty aggressively being ripped, especially the large ones.
Yeah, that's another thing you can check is how many of the packs are actually being opened.
Almost like
So
a
the packs
third,
aren't
two
being
thirds of the
opened.
large.
5,000 out of
It's, oh,
16,000 isn't that many packs open, to be
that's not
honest.
that many, but the big one has a way better. So it's
Yeah,
like
10 out of
mixed.
16,000.
Yeah,
I feel like Funko's mostly good to like buy wax with a credit card. like like more so than guaranteed flip. Like you can usually sell it for about what you pay for it. So it's pretty good to like, if you just want to buy wax, you can just buy Funko packs and then sell the packs for what you paid for them. I feel like that's pretty like that works, but like being able to flip them is definitely a little more speculative, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
what do you mean by they reduced the royalty to 2K? Or 2K? Huh. I'm not sure I
Probably the
understand that.
maximum potential sets.
Oh, wait. So what? It's possible to like have a royalty set, and I guess there's probably only 2K like
Could be
total
epics.
NFTs. That's what I mean.
Epics is the
Yeah, what's
Epic
the
is the
cap on
rarest
the
card you need, so you can only have as many as the maximum of epics, and there are 2,000 epics.
There you go. That's what you got. Got it.
And let's look at a previous set. We can see what the
We got
number
there. We
was
got
before
there.
is 2,000. I'm assuming it was more than 2,000. Funko. What was the most previous one?
The previous one
Hasbro.
was
Previous one was, why the fuck are there all these bundles? It was
wasn't it like
2,300, so there's 300 less now.
that's quite a bit less. It's like
That's a significant
what about
portion when you're at 2,000.
15% or something. Yeah, it's a pretty good cut.
Oops.
A little haircut. Yeah, I also don't
Yeah, the
count the
only
April
thing I
Fool's
really
one.
want is the most fucking expensive thing, so I'm probably not going to participate in this for now. I usually just wait until the redeem day and then I buy all the NFTs. I'll buy this NFT
That's
set
what
though. I like the Flintstones.
I will too. I'll buy the Flintstones royalty set too. Drop day usually is the move on that one.
I'll also
But I do
keep an
like
eye
I
out.
like Pop and Stock strategy where he's buying epics and then relisting them later in the cycle while people are still gathering their sets. That's a good move. That sounds like
That's
an
what I still
interesting
do. I
flip
bought over
strategy.
40 epics today, resell them down the road. Pretty sure they'll be at $12 at some point during the cycle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
I would say
that's
that
I think if you're
Pop and
looking for
Stock
flipping advice, that's good
is the
advice.
best resource for like how to profit off of Funko. I participate for fun as a collector. I don't make money off of Funko. Like if we're being honest, I've lost more money buying Funko on wax than I've made. Like I overpaid. Like I spent like $300 for my Burger Funko. That was stupid as shit. I shouldn't have spent
Oh,
that much.
man.
Like I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to Funko. I collect it for fun as a collector. I am not profiting on Funko, so I wouldn't take my advice for like how to maximize your returns on buying into Funko because I'm
Yeah,
not good at it if we're being honest.
and I collect the NFTs pretty much exclusively. So the strategy there is to just buy them after the redeemables drop.
Yeah, I can help you get the
Easy.
cheapest NFTs. You buy them like a couple hours after the redeem tokens
Yeah,
drop, and that's the
yeah, that's a
strategy I
pretty easy
use.
one to do.
But I also
But
don't
I
buy those to
can't say that well.
resell.
That it
Like
doesn't really,
some
yeah, it
people
doesn't
buy
really
those.
flip. I don't flip them.
Some people buy them because they assume the price will go up and want to resell them. But like I just want to complete the set, so I'm buying it as a collector and not as an investor. So that's not really the way I approach that collection.
Yeah. Oh,
But we
interesting
should
that
show off.
Dungeons and Dragons had 2,500 royalty, and then the one Nicktoons 2 is 27. So that's really come down a lot from there.
Pop and Stock's got to be going live. No, it's on Thursday. He goes live on Thursday evening. So how do you only have 300 followers, Pop and Stock? You should have more. Um,
Damn, they're cutting
yeah,
those
if you're not
royalties.
following Pop and Stock, unless I'm misspeaking and he changed, he streams every Thursday, and his streams like exclusively focus on Funko and trading strategies for Funkos that dropped like that week. So definitely recommend checking out Pop and Stock's Thursday night streams if you're interested in Funko strategies. That's where I learned like everything I'm telling you. I've learned from him pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, he has not been live in a while. Never mind, he is not streaming this Thursday. Okay, I have a backup plan. Let me send you a link to the Digital Funko Kingdom Discord. That is like the Digital Funko community, because that's
Yeah,
also
that's where
where I've seen him
collectors are
share
trading.
strategies. But also follow him anyway. Pop and Stock's like one of the more knowledgeable streamers on Wax for like the biggest property on Wax, so he's a good guy to follow. But I will post a link to this is a link to the what is it called? The Digital Pop Kingdom Discord, but it's like specifically Funko collectors on Wax. But a lot of people there focus on the digitals and not the physicals, whereas like the drop server is all people that want physicals. So yeah, this server is a good place to talk about like NFT trading strategies, and it's where like a lot of the people that watch Pop and Stock streams are in that server. That's like I'd say the Wax Funko community more so than even like the drop server.
Yeah, the non-financial advice flowing from the Pop and Stock streams.
How much do you know about? I haven't actually talked to him about how much do you know about Shock's House of NFTs, Pop and Stock, because they're also like a Funko community, but I don't spend as much time in there. I'm not really sure what's going on there. They were advertising on Atomichub though, which I thought was strange. They were like, "Come join
No?
or our NFT community." It was like, "What are you selling? Like, how are you affording ads on Atomichub just to promote a Discord community that buys Funko stuff?" But
Yeah, damn.
it is cool to see that there's like multiple large communities. Also, like I didn't know that existed until it was advertised on Atomic Up, and there's like thousands of people in that server. So like, there's definitely like a very large communities of collectors on Wax that like you wouldn't know exist unless you just kind of like stumble into them, like these weird Discord.
Yeah. That's always wild.
Wax IO Hispano blends. You need that Funko there. Let's try it. Trying to figure out if
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
into
To
that.
reiterate, we said this earlier. Montasuerte mentioned in the chat, but the Wombat Discord, you should stay away from at the moment.
I'm not buying anything. I just want to see what you posted. Wax.io Hispano. I'm trying to figure out the name of the collection. Wax.io Hispano. There we go.
Nope, that's about Marcy's walk time. We gotta wind down. She's trying to walk here.
Yeah, we can wrap this
Marcy,
up here in a minute.
In a second, Marcy. You can wait.
Is it one of these?
Ooh, was it 8-bit art?
I can't click the link that you posted, so the middle one. Oh, nice. It's Daemon Targaryen from.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you burn your Targaryen Funko NFT and it gives you this pixel version. So they're using Funko as an ingredient to
that's
burn
right.
into their original artwork. That's actually pretty cool. Also, like, someone needs to be burning these Funkos. There's too many of them. So Funko should really be doing something like that, but it's cool that a third-party collection is reducing the supply
Yeah,
of
that is
our
cool.
Funko NFTs. Also, they're using wax as a blend requirement. That's cool. So it's like you're paying for the drop. Like, they get 3 wax from it.
Oh, that is cool. Huh. That's a fun idea. Bringing like Funko ingredients to the table.
Oh. I feel like I should have this NFT. Why don't I? Maybe it's in a different wallet. I thought I completed the full set for this, though. Unless maybe this is a legendary. Fucking Nifty Box has the worst marketplace. It's a common. It's like, why do I have to... Took me that long to figure out what rarity this was. Like, you can't just tab over it and it tells you what rarity is, like Atomichub. Like, this marketplace fucking sucks.
They gotta like update their shit, I feel like. I don't know. Nifty Blux is falling behind a bit, I feel.
They're definitely falling off. We probably will not be doing our next drop through Nifty Blocks. We're not really happy with how they've been giving back to the creators that supported them and paid for over $1 million worth of tokens on their token drop, and then they just removed all the utility and have not replaced it with anything. So we're not super happy with what Nifty's been doing, but
that was like day
I think
one.
They made like $1.8 million on that backdrop.
This?
I think it was 1.8 million they got for the Nifty token backdrop. So I remember it's the same as Green Rabbit. They raised the same amount of money.
Jesus.
So they made a lot of fucking money off that. So like to be gatekeeping new creator tools behind paywalls is kind of bullshit to me, but
yeah, especially when those creators have huge bags of their token that they fucking paid,
which we bought
like,
for the promise of access to future tools. But you know, is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's raid into somebody and call this a stream before we get too salty here at the end. It's been such a happy, fun stream. Is NFT Gamer TV streaming again? Didn't they raid into us?
Yeah, I did too. I reached out like on day one. I was like, "How are you gonna remove the like utility and not give something more?" And they were like, "Oh, we're gonna introduce something in a couple of weeks." That was 6 months ago.
Yeah,
maybe 5 months.
I don't know. And then like we've had some private conversations too in like a private chat where they're just like, we're like, hey, can you help us figure out how to do VIRL stuff? And they're like, no creators want that, so we won't build that tool. Oh, here, by the way, we built a fucking bridge to Polygon for a Betsy profile picture project. I'm like, what creators were asking for a bridge to Polygon for your profile picture project? Literally nobody. You're like investing a bunch of resources and developing shit that also the Wax official team announced they're creating a bridge to Polygon. So like they're creating a tool that's being funded by the people who made the fucking blockchain. Like they're creating a tool that is going to be created by somebody else. So they're like, why would you waste your money developing that? I don't know.
Yeah,
so I'm not really happy with like what they're spending their time and money on. It's not stuff that Wax needs, and the shit they're making is literally something somebody else is paying for.
I'm in the same boat with you, Amster, and that's why I also really love what we talked about today with the V3 liquidity pools. I pulled my Nifty Wax liquidity and I put all of it into Alcor liquidity, but only the Nifty side. So if it comes back, great. I'm getting my Wax back, but I'm not exposed to losing more of my Wax anymore. Like I'm kind of over letting my Wax bleed into that pool. But it's nice that I don't have to just sell my Nifty on the floor. I set that like a wide range. I just let that ride now. It's like, it's cool. Another good use for asymmetric liquidity. Keep your liquidity going for a token that you lost faith in.
All right. Well, I'm gonna call this a stream, everybody. Turning on the outro music and playing us out. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll probably be going over this for the next couple of weeks. Like, this new V3 liquidity stuff is very complex, and I think a lot of people are it's gonna take a few weeks to grasp these concepts. They're big concepts, so
Yeah.
we'll continue to talk about the changes to Alcor and like. Oh, thank you for the cheer. As you run into issues and stuff that you find and you have questions, please bring them back each Tuesday, because like I'm sure y'all will run into stuff the more you use Alcor. So like as you use Alcor and you're like, hey, what the fuck is this? Come back to our stream and ask us. So hopefully we can help you figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll be streaming on Thursday, our off the rails funny videos, and then Friday we'll be playing some big time. So feel free to join us for those streams, or hit us up in Discord if you want to chat before then. I'll be playing NFL Rivals and Counter-Strike.
Big Time just reset too, so perfect time, I think.
Oh yeah, if you've been playing Big Time with us, you will need to replay through the tutorial before Friday to join us. So if you have access to Big Time, consider jumping through the tutorial again and then play with us on Friday. We'll see y'all then. Have a great week. I'll also post a link to our Discord here real quick.
Oh yeah.
If you want to
Yeah,
chat.
you're right. It's less rewards, but the rewards weren't keeping up with how fast I was losing my tokens, so I'm cool with it.
And yeah, I'm gonna watch the Counter-Strike major, the Paris major tonight. So if anyone wants to like group watch that, I'm super down, because I'm looking for people to be like, "What the fuck do you see that headshot with?" So a couple hours, if anyone wants to hang out in Discord, hit me up. But otherwise, we'll see you all on Thursday. Have a great week. Peace.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Fun shit.
All right, let me turn off the music. Let me turn off the